edukasyon ay hindi para sa iilan. Ito ay karapatang pantao, para sa lahat. Obligasyon ng Estado na protektahan, igalang at tiyakin ang karapatan sa edukasyon ng lahat ng mamamayan. Ang karapatan sa edukasyon ay kinikilala bilang isang karapatang pantao sa mga internasyonal na batas at kumbensyon. Maging sa saligang batas ng Pilipinas. Subalit hindi lahat ng bata ay natatamasa ang karapatan sa edukasyon. Sa buong mundo, mayroong 262 milyon o isa sa bawat 5 bata at kabataan sa pagitan ng edad na 6 at 17 ang wala sa paaralan. Sa Timog Silangang Asya, isa ang Pilipinas na may malaking bilang ng mga bata at kabataan na hindi nag-aaral o ang tinatawag na out-of-school children and youth. Aabot sa halos 10% ng mga Pilipino na may edad 6 hanggang 24 na taong gulang ay wala sa paaralan o isa sa 10. Kinakailangang hanapin kung sino ang mga batang ito at alamin ang mga dahilan kung bakit hindi sila nag-aaral. Isinusulong ng Civil Society Network for Education Reforms o ENET Philippines ang kampanyang Edukasyon para sa Lahat o Education for All o EFA mula nang itinatag ito taong 2000. Panahon ito ng pagsigla ng kilusan para sa EFA o Education for All movement sa buong mundo. Mula EFA, ipinagpatuloy ng ENET Philippines ang kampanyang ito sa mas pinalawak na kampanyang pagkakamit ng Sustainable Development Goals o SDG, lalo na ang SDG 4 na may layuning makamit ang pantay at kalidad na edukasyon para sa lahat at kumikilala sa patuloy at panghabang buhay na edukasyon o ang tinatawag na lifelong learning. Isinusulong ng ENET Philippines ang pagpapalawak at pagpapalakas ng partisipasyon ng mamamayan para sa mga reformang pang-edukasyon sa Pilipinas. Gayon din ang pagpapatupad at pagpapaunlad ng alternative learning systems na naglalayong maabot at maisama ang mga mamamayang mahihirap at naisasantabi. Kabilang sa advokasya ng ENET ang sumusunod. Edukasyong walang isinasantabi, may pagkakapantay-pantay at may kalidad para sa lahat. O access to inclusive, equitable, and quality education for all. Alternatibong sistema ng pagkatuto at edukasyong may kapakinabangan sa buong buhay. O alternative learning system and lifelong learning. Ibibigay proteksyon sa mga bata at positibong pagdidisiplina o child protection and positive discipline. Edukasyong hindi naghihiwalay sa mga may kapansanan o inclusive education for learners with disabilities. Karapatan at kagalingan ng mga kaguruan o teachers' rights and welfare. Sapat na budget sa edukasyon at wastong pamamahala sa edukasyon o education financing and governance. Edukasyong may pagtatangi sa pagkakapantay-pantay ng kasarian o gender equality and education. Para maisakatuparan ang mga advokasya ng ENET, isinasagawa nito ang sumusunod. Pakikipag-ugnayan at pakikipagtulungan sa iba't ibang sektor at education and development stakeholders upang magkaroon ng makabuluhan at maunlad na pagbabago sa mga patakaran at kasanayan sa edukasyon. magsasagawa ng mga pagkilos at proyekto upang maitulak ang mga mahahalagang reforma sa edukasyon para sa mamamayang na isasantabi at napag-iiwanan sa lipunan. Aktibong paglahok sa mga proseso ng SDG at SDG 4 sa lokal, nasyonal at internasyonal na antas sa mga plataporma na mayroon ang gobyerno at sa paglikha ng iba't iba pang daluyan ng paglahok ng mamamayan upang maitulak ang pagsasakatuparan sa SDG 4. Pagpapalakas ng kapasidad ng INET members at partners at pagbibigay suporta sa mga advokasiyang pang-edukasyon at pagsasakonteksto ng SDG 4 sa kanilang sektor at lokalidad. Mahigpit na pakikipag-ugnayan at pakikipagtulungan sa mga regional at pandaigdigang network na nagsusulong ng kampanyang pang-edukasyon. Tinatanaw ng INET Philippines ang isang lipunang Pilipino na kumikilala at nagtitiyak na ang karapatan sa edukasyon ay batayang karapatang pantao at lahat ng mamamayan ay nagtatamasa ng edukasyong multikultural, patas sa anumang kasarian at mapagpalaya.
Okay. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's Thursday webinar series with the theme Management of Stress, Anxieties and Depression among Teachers, Learners, and Parents. By the way, I'm Professor Flora Arellano, President of the Civil Society Network for Education Reforms, INET in short, and I will be your moderator in today's webinar. This webinar is brought to you by Teachers Inc. and INET Philippines. Teachers Inc. is an organization of teachers and non-teaching personnel whose main advocacy is the upliftment of the status of teachers and non-teaching personnel and advocate for a quality education for all. INET Philippines is a national coalition network for education reforms that advocate and ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So, as we all know, we are in a COVID situation. We are again subjected to modified ECQ. Physical distancing is expected to remain in effect for an extended period to prevent people from getting infected. This will make school operation and learning delivery challenging as school personnel and children could be exposed to this disease. Further delay in the return of learners to school could have psychological, social, and emotional effects to children. And education is really very vital. It could help children in their recovery from the trauma brought about by the COVID-19 crisis. However, the challenges posed by the required physical distancing will make it difficult for children to be in school and for teachers to manage their classes. It is in this context that we are launching this another webinar on the management of stress, anxieties, and depression among our learners, teachers, as well as parents. So, next slide, please. The objectives of the seminar. Okay. Now, these are the objectives of this webinar series. First, we will be presenting the psychosocial situation of learners, teachers, and parents amid COVID-19 pandemic. Second, We will discuss how to manage psychosocial issues of stress, anxieties, and depression experienced by our learners, teachers, and parents. And third, come up with programs in our school, in our workplaces that will strengthen the psychosocial support to the health and well-being of learners, teachers, as well as parents during this time of the pandemic and beyond. Just minute. Next. So, okay. Now I will introduce to you our speakers. The first speaker will speak on psychosocial situation of learners and parents amid COVID crisis. Our speaker is Miss Shirley May Villanada, a registered social worker, specializes in child protection for more than a decade now, a graduate of social work, cum laude at St. Louis University, Baguio, a recipient of this Linnaeus Palme Scholarship in Ersta Sköndal University College in Stockholm, Sweden, funded by the Swedish International Development and Cooperation Agency, which is the main funder of Save the Children Philippines. Our second speaker will discuss the teacher's narratives on stress and emotional effects of COVID-19. She is Dr. Magdalena D. Garcia, faculty in the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Maragondon branch. She is an accomplished educator, researcher, business practitioner, speaker, and community motivator. She is also the honoring founding president of Teachers and Employees Association for Education Reforms and Solidarity Incorporated, Teachers Inc., Cavite chapter. And our speaker for the topic 3, psychosocial management of stress, anxieties, and depression is no other than Dr. Nenita F. Buwan, a clinical psychologist, a practicing clinical psychologist, expert in witness in court, especially on cases of annulment, adoption. She was the former dean of the College of Social Sciences and Development and chair of the graduate program in psychology, Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our first presenter, Miss Shirley May M. Villanada. We'll talk on psychosocial situation of learners and parents amid COVID pandemic.
Hello,
Miss
maganda. Yes, thank you, Ma'am Flora, and good afternoon to everyone who are joining us in this webinar this afternoon. Can I share my slide po ba, or will you be sharing my slide? Desa, ako na lang ba?
Sige, Miss Shirley, pwede pong ikaw.
Sige,
Thank
salamat. Yeah. Can you see po my screen now?
Yes po.
Okay, so for the introduction of the topic, I'll be sharing with you the psychosocial situation of children and parents amidst COVID-19 pandemic. So first po, Yan. So in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, us adults and children are feeling the stress of the situation. Gusto lang nating simulan, ano ba ang stress? So there are a lot of definitions of stress, but I'd like to give you a very simple definition, which is, I'll start my video. Okay, sorry. Which is the reaction of the mind and the body to a threat, a challenge, or a change to a one's life. So ibig sabihin nito, ang ating katawan, ang ating utak ay merong natural na reaksyon kapag tayo ay nakakaranas ng mga changes. Tulad ng suddenly nagkaroon tayo ng COVID-19, suddenly ay biglang nag-lockdown, noong March hanggang May, end of May. Tapos ngayon, bumalik na naman tayo sa MECQ. So, natural na nagkakaroon tayo ng mga ganitong reactions. And kung i-imagine natin, we are like a parang balancing scale, ano? So, usually, ito ay pantay or nasa equilibrium kung tayo ay relaxed at wala tayong masyadong iniisip. Pero, dumadating ang panahon na nagkakaroon tayo ng mga sources of stress, which at this time, ito yung COVID-19 pandemic. And because of this pandemic, ang daming naging sources of stress ng mga tao. Unang-una, rising infections. So because of every day, nababalitaan natin in the news that the infections are rising in thousands. So it's causing us stress. There is movement restrictions. So akala natin relax na yung ating quarantine measures, but because of the rising infection, bumalik tayo sa modified ECQ. And the school closures, ito rin ay nag-cause sa atin, ang source din ito ng ating stress because of the school closures ay ang mga bata, they're staying at home longer and yung kanilang face-to-face interactions last March ay hindi natapos. So there are a lot of activities and celebrations na hindi na natuloy because of the school closures. And there is also a loss of jobs. And according sa PSA, we are anticipating around 10 million of unemployment among Filipinos. At ito ay nagdudulot ng stress sa atin. And because of the school closures, ito ay nagkaroon ng increased parental responsibility ang mga parents. And because then of movement restrictions, a lot of parents are now working from home. So the parental responsibility have increased. No? So parents are working from home and at the same time, they're taking care of their children and at the same time, they are expected to provide educational support to their children who are now learning at home. And then there's also this uncertainty that we are experiencing right now. Kailan ba matatapos ang COVID-19 pandemic? Will the Philippines be able to flatten the curve? Kung sa December ba, tapos na to? On January ba, we can go back to face-to-face learning. So there are a lot of uncertainties. And they're saying na hanggat walang vaccine, we cannot go face-to-face learning sa ating mga estudyante. So minsan, the sources of our stress outweighs our coping. So tayong mga tao, we as humans have our built-in coping mechanisms. But when our sources of stress are greater than our coping resources, ay tayo ay nagiging overwhelmed. So we are overwhelmed of the situation, lalo na kung sabay-sabay at sunod-sunod yung ating mga sources of stress. So dito tayo ay naapektuhan ng ating stress. So paano ba tayo naapektuhan? So we are affected physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and behaviorally. So for physical, stress affects us. A lot of people are saying and I heard a lot about this, that when the lockdown started last March, a lot of people are having sleeping problems. So they're experiencing muscle tension. So masakit ang balikat, ang batok, ang likod. There is also rapid heart rate, especially ito, yung rapid heart rate pag usually nangyayari yan when we watch the news, and a lot of issues are surrounding us, hindi lang COVID-19. So it really bothers us, and yun. So merong rapid heart rate nararanasan, and then headache. So yun ay sa mga physical manifestations of stress. So ilan lamang ito, and these are among the common effects of stress in our physical well-being. For our emotionally, we are affected. There is a feeling of sadness. There's feeling of anxiety. Sometimes we are quickly irritated. I hear some people, because of the lockdown and the isolation, they would want to smash their some things. So yung mga ganun. Kasi nga, merong feeling of irritation na nararamdaman because of isolation. There is also some feelings of fear because nga of the uncertainty of the situation, or kapag lalabas ka ba, you'll get infected. Pagbalik mo ba sa bahay ay mahahawahan mo ang iyong mga kapamilya. So those are the feelings of fear. For our mental health, sa mental side, ito naman po yung mga effects ng stress. We have poor concentration, particularly if you have to multitask. So at home, parents are multitasking. So yung mga guro na nandito na sa ating webinar, I know they are not only teachers, they are also parents. So sometimes when you multitask, you have poor concentration, hindi mo natatapos yung mga bagay na kailangan mong gawin. So, and then some people have nightmares, napapaniginipan na si COVID-19, o kaya yung mga effects nito, yung pagkawala ng trabaho. So yun na may mga nilalaman ng ating mga panaginip. And then some others have involuntary thoughts. Sometimes it's connected with sleeping problems. No? So we cannot sleep because hindi natin ma-shut off yung ating minds. Our minds are parang hindi tumitigil sa pag-iisip. Or sometimes you got to sleep naman, pero at the middle of the night, you woke up and then a lot of thoughts are coming into your mind. And then sometimes you also forget things quickly. For behavioral effects, so some people are either over or under eating. So if you have a lot of food, you overeat. Pero ito ay involuntary, involuntary over and under eating. So it's not your normal eating habits. There are people who do risk taking. So mayroon silang mga risk taking behavior. So halimbawa, it's not allowed to go out without a quarantine pass, pero they risk it kasi they have to do things. So merong mga ganyung risk taking. Or for children, lalo na yung mga teenagers, they're not allowed to go out. That's why, and then they go see their friends. That's why nahuhuli sila for curfew violations. And then others would have aggression and verbal outbursts. So, pagka merong mga, halimbawa may mga anak sa bahay na nangungulit, and then you're working from home, or you're thinking where to get money for food. So, ang tendency, if you are stressed, mainit ang ulo, so napapagalitan or nakakapanakit ng anak. And then there is also some would have to withdraw or further isolate themselves. Spiritually, the effects of the COVID-19, for others, there would be doubt hindi na siguro to matatapos, or there's helplessness or hopelessness na hindi na natin malalagpasan ang COVID-19. So they are increasingly negative. And at times, there are people who are questioning, why is this happening? So they're questioning God, why is this happening? So these effects of COVID-19, these are usual and normal reactions because we are in an abnormal situation. So we don't have to easily blame them for reacting that way because these are usual and normal. Okay. So I'd like to share with you some data na lumabas while we are in the community quarantine. Okay. So the National Center for Mental Health, they say that there is a spike in mental health consults during coronavirus lockdown. So sinasabi ng NCMH that their average calls or for people who are seeking help because of mental health situation have increased from their average from March to May was 30 to 35 calls. Before the pandemic, their average was only 10 to 15 calls per month. Pero nag-increase siya into more than 100% during the lockdown from the period of March to May. And majority of their calls that they receive are due to increased levels of anxiety. Pero there's no data na na-share. However, if there are children who have sought help from the NCMH hotline. And then, gaano daw ba? How much stress do Filipinos feel? So the Social Weather Station conducted two. So they already conducted two surveys from May, and the first one was in May and the second one was in July. And based on the survey that they have conducted through mobile phones, the result was 86% of adult Filipinos are feeling stressed. So napakataas ng pakiramdam ng stress ng mga Pilipino. At kung mapapansin nyo rin sa table, nung May 4 to 10, the people who are experiencing involuntary hunger was 16.7%. But it increased to 20.9% during the July survey. So mas tumaas. So nakita natin, so people or families are experiencing involuntary hunger, mas marami noong July. So the experience of stress is higher to those who have experienced hunger. Okay, so mataas generally ang stress level ng mga Pilipino, pero mas mataas doon sa mga pamilya na nakaranas ng kagutuman. And by area, so generally din, so mataas ang stress in Metro Manila, in Balance Luzon, in Visayas, in Mindanao. But stress is observed to be higher in Metro Manila and the Visayas because mas mahaba ang quarantine periods na nararanasan sa Metro Manila. And noong July din ay nagkaroon, pinatupad din ang enhanced community quarantine sa Visayas. Kaya ito yung mga dahilan kung kaya't mas mataas yung stress na naranasan sa NCR at sa Visayas region. For by sex and age, yung experience of stress is slightly higher among women. So makikita natin halos pantay naman din sila ang mga kababaihan at kalalakihan ang nararanasan stress, pero mas mataas ng kaunti sa mga kababaihan. Maybe because women are expected to do child rearing role at home, while and are expected to teach or facilitate learning of their children while at home. Kaya siguro mas mataas yung stress level ng mga kababaihan. And adults 25 to 54 4 years old are the most stressed age group. Bakit kaya? Because this age group, ito yung ating working class. So karamihan sa mga ito ay maaaring nawalan ng trabaho in the formal and informal sectors, kaya they are experiencing more stress. And then we can also see, no, doon sa May survey ng SWS, that teenagers are also experiencing stress. Nung July survey, hindi na nakasama itong age group na ito doon sa survey na ginawa ng SWS. But we can see also na ang mga bata, they are also experiencing stress because of the lockdown. So, ano ba ang nararamdaman? What do children say and feel about the COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, so ano naman, kasi hindi sila masyadong nakasama doon sa survey ng SWS. If you can see this picture, I'd like you to reflect, what do you see in these two photos? So makikita natin, no, there's a laptop here. Yan. So there's a laptop here. This photo was drawn by a young boy while his mom was working from home. Okay? So I think bumaba siya ng hagdan dito. The mom was working from home and baka meron siyang tinatanong or gusto niya makipaglaro sa kanyang nanay. The second picture, nakikita ninyo, no? So si mother ay stressed sa kanyang trabaho while working from home. So medyo nagkaroon siya ng verbal outburst towards the son. Makita niyo sa drawing ng bata, may heartbreak. Heartbreak siya. So young children, they don't have words yet for everything they're feeling, but they can make sense of what their caregivers are feeling. So maaaring hindi na nasabi sa kanyang mother yung nararamdaman niya, but he was able to draw, no, yung kanyang perspective and feelings of that situation. And we also have conducted consultations with children. The children conducted consultations with children. At ito yung mga lumabas among older children. These are children who are 12 years old, 17 years old. Ito yung mga sinasabi nila. Sabi ni Mark Anthony, naririnig ko po ang mga balita na maraming nang naapektuhan dahil sa COVID at mahirap kasi yung iba, no work, no pay, katulad nila pa. Narinig ko po na problema na po sila kung saan kukuha ng pera para sa araw-araw na gastos. So makikita natin na children feel worried, but sometimes we don't show it. No? Akala natin nag-ano lang sila, nag-Facebook, nag-TikTok, but they also feel worried of their family situation. Sabi ni Mariel, natatakot siya na baka lumala yung virus at baka magkaroon ng pangkakain sa buhay. So there is feeling of fear among children. Si Tilso naman, he feels sad because he feels na nararamdaman niya yung isolation and yung movement restriction dahil sa ECQ. So we'll see that there is also heightened stress among children. So for younger children, how do they express their stress? There could be frustration, there could be fear, and children can be more clingy to their parents and their caregivers. Bakit kaya? Kasi children who are in lockdown, they have limited opportunities to play with other children. Kaya nga yung unang picture na nakita natin na drawing ng bata, because of limited opportunities to play, no? Staying at home, sometimes he asks for his parents, or they ask for their parents to play with them. Kaya lang with more parental responsibilities, sometimes hindi ito nagagawa. So children sometimes get frustrated, they cry a lot, or nagkakaroon niya ng fear din sa kanilang mga magulang. because they still have difficulty in identifying and expressing their emotions. And young children don't understand yet what virus is, what illness are, and what deaths are. So ito yung mga common na
Excuse me po.
reactions. Hello, yes?
Miss Shirley, sorry po, medyo nagloloko po kasi yung audio nyo.
Sorry, medyo malakas ang ulan.
Opo nga.
Hello, naririnig niyo po ako? Naririnig niyo na po ako, Desa?
Medyo
Oo,
po, kaya lang,
nadidinig.
medyo
Sige, sorry.
parang kulong lang yung audio.
Sorry, medyo malakas yung ulan.
Ayan po, okay na yan.
Okay. So for school-age children, so there is also feeling of sadness, frustration, anger, and at times, no, they are, and most of the times, no, not at times, most of the times, their coping mechanism was increasing their time on social media. So bakit ba nila ito nararamdaman? Bakit nila ito naranasan? Because of their disrupted social lives. Alam naman natin sa mga bata, friends are important to them, but because of the lockdown, they cannot go out, they cannot go see their friends. They have missed important events such as celebrations and moving up. Okay, so wala nang mga naganap na graduation, wala nang naganap na mga moving up celebrations for children na ang tagal-tagal nila hinintay. So there could be feelings of frustrations because of that. And because of the physical distancing, the online or home-based schooling, the lack of internet access, or the difficult, and they could have also difficulty concentrating and staying motivated. For teenagers could withdraw and they could be withdrawal and there could be anger because of the situation, and they are also increasing their time on social media as a way of coping and meeting and talking to their friends. And some teenagers could resist authorities, no, yung parental authority. They could also resist that. And this is one of the reasons why are because the loss of connections with peers and their social networks, their lack of privacy. So napakahalaga nito sa mga teenagers yung kanilang privacy, but because they're staying mostly at home, no, so lahat ng bagay ay nakikita na ginagawa nila. Their loss of independence, they cannot go out, they cannot do the things that they do before, like sports maybe, or theater for others. And then the online or homeschooling and the physical distancing rules. They might resist this, and a tendency, if they are not given the proper information and guidance, maaaring mahuli sila for violating curfew or quarantine rules. Okay. So, ang World Vision, they did a rapid assessment on the impact of COVID-19 to children and families. In terms of child protection, ito, this will support, no, yung mga pinag-send ko na kanina. So, sinasabi ng kanilang assessment na 54% of children have expressed negative emotions such as sadness, fear, and worry. 84% of children feel worried for themselves and their families. Ito yung mga nakita rin nating mga sinabi ng mga bata kanina. And 41% of children have confirmed of experiencing corporal punishments from their parents and caregivers. And 19% of children are not aware or unsure of child protection services. So World Vision, yung kanilang rapid assessment na ginawa, this consists of 985 children and parents, yung kanilang sample size for this research. So how do parents deal in terms of child protection na binanggit natin kanina? So some parents, no, 3% of them will send their children to work, including high-risk jobs. Because na of loss of jobs, of hunger, so some parents are already considering sending their children to work. Some 20% of parents cannot fully handle changes in their children's behavior. So yung mga nararanasan ng mga bata, yung kanilang fear, yung resistance, yung sometimes yung withdrawal, and then yung hoping nila to increase time in social media, sometimes parents cannot fully handle that. That's why it results to 42% of parents have used corporal punishments in disciplining their children. In terms of education, sinasabi ng mga bata, this study was conducted in May. 21% of children are unwilling or unsure to attend school. So they're not sure if they can attend school because of different reasons, maybe loss of jobs or income of the family. 89% of children anticipate challenges on the use of online platforms. Because it is also because that 38% of these children do not have access to the internet. So as a result, there is education insecurity, no, for families, especially for parents who will send their children to school. Among the insecurities include yung lack of gadgets or the no or slow internet connections. And for modular type naman of modality, maraming mga magulang na nagsabi, they say that they have no or they lack capacity to teach children, lalong-lalo na that their children are at different grade levels. So paano daw nila tuturuan yung kanilang mga anak na nasa iba't ibang grade level? I hear some parents saying na how they will be teaching algebra or chemistry to their children who are in high school. So halos, ito sabi ni Tatay Mark, halos hindi kami makabili ng bigas, paano pa kami makakabili ng cellphone? Sabi naman ni Nanay Jen, paano namin tuturuan ang aming mga anak kung kami mismong mga magulang ay hindi nakapag-aral? So what will be our recommendations for the situation of our parents and learners at this time? So for parents, we encourage the LGUs or the communities or the helping professionals to provide parents with psychosocial support to handle their stress. Educate parents on positive parenting because we saw that a lot of children are experiencing corporal punishment. Ensure reporting and repair mechanisms are in place so they would know where to go or where to seek help if they need to. Provide parents access to information on the different modalities of blended learning dahil maybe because of the lack of understanding how the blended learning works ay kaya sila nagkakaroon ng sa mga dahilan ng education insecurity. And we can establish support groups for parents, lalo na yung mga low yung kanilang mga educational background. For children naman, we can also provide, we recommend to provide psychosocial support to children and teenagers to cope with fear and isolation. Help children understand, bigyan sila ng information on what the COVID-19 is, what is the implications of the lockdown, of the community quarantine, and the guidelines that are implemented. And then make them also understand of the blended learning. And then because of their increased time on social media, we also recommend to educate children on online safety. Encourage them to help other children, lalo na yung kung sila ay magkakapatid, we can encourage them to help their younger siblings. And lastly, consult children on their views and use them to improve program development and delivery. Parang yun din yung nakita ko na isa sa mga objectives ng ating webinar ngayon is on the development of programs and how to improve our program delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jurley, for this enlightening and insightful sharing of your experiences in child protection. Ms. Jurley has discussed with us how adults and children feel stress amid COVID pandemic, physically, emotionally, mentally, and behave effects. And these are usual or normal reactions, as Ms. Jurley had shared with us. But then it's not sufficient that we recognize that it is but normal or not unusual behavior among children, this kind of experiences of stress. But as she has said, as she had told us in her talk, that there is really a need to do some psychosocial support, both sa parents and at the same time to the children. Especially that parents have already spoken about their situation, problem in managing different behaviors of their children, on assisting their children in their homeschooling and so on, as well as with the learners who have shown different levels of stress, no, among children and among teenagers because of this abrupt changes in their regular mobility and activities in their daily lives. So thank you, Ms. Jurley, for this enlightening sharing of your experiences. Now, I would like to tell our participants that if you have questions, just reserve it and put it in the chat box, and later we will ask our speakers to answer those questions. So our next speaker is the teacher's narratives, no? On topic 2, teacher's narratives on stress and emotional effects of COVID-19, by Dr. Magdalena de Garcia, faculty, PUP Maragondon, and member of the National Board of Directors, Teachers Inc. Okay, Dr. Garcia.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Inet Philippines and Teachers Inc. for the opportunity to speak with you about the condition of teachers today who are experiencing stress under the pandemic. Thank you and welcome, participants. Now, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. Ayan. So, it was March 13, 2020, Friday. Di ko alam na yun na pala yung aking last day na pumasok sa Sintang Paaralan. Because by Monday, March 18, the President declared already the whole of Luzon in ECQ. So, all of a sudden, the schools were closed because of the coronavirus. It was a hasty decision. No one was given the time to pack up their things and do their schoolwork. So, hindi po tayo nakahanda. In the first few days, nakakatuwa kasi para tayong nakarest sa ating pagtuturo. Masaya kasi walang pasok. Pero nung dumaan ang weeks at ang weeks naging months at ang months ay naging 4 months, doon na tayo nalungkot. Parang nagkaroon na ng stress ang mga guro. Bakit sila bakit tayo nagkaganito, experiencing this kind of pandemic where everything is stopped? Para tayong naging yellow lahat. Everything stopped. Okay, so my topic is the stress and emotions, emotional effects on teachers during the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, these are our discussion takeaway. For the introduction, the distress of teachers at present time to be presented, and then the teacher and the new education challenge stressors of teachers during the coronavirus pandemic, and then the emotional effects on teachers during the pandemic. I'm going to introduce to you the PANA, which is the positive approach and the negative effects. Sorry. Okay. And then the stress management of teachers in the new educational setup, which are my recommendations. Okay. As you see in the pictures, we have here teachers na naglalakad sa putikan, madala lang niya ang kanyang misyon para sa mga bata. Putikan, ulan, ayan, nakaupo sila sa ilalim ng puno, sa tabi ng kalsada, for them to learn more about what is happening in our educational setup. Then this one, doing the virtual learning with his students, and so on and so forth. Ayan po sila. They are doing the webinars along the road. Okay. And for more narratives, let us hear from the 24 Oras what teachers are experiencing under stress. So physically and mentally, they are already under stress. Okay, so not only teachers are affected, but also the parents and the students.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, wala pong sounds yung inyong video.
Ay, wait. Bakit po kaya? Wait lang po. Wala daw sound.
Ma'am, yung sa pag-screen share niyo po is i-click niyo po yung nasa baba na with sound.
Sa screen share. Teka lang po, ma'am. Wait. Wala daw sound. Dito daw. Kanina pa po, ma'am, walang sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, since the start?
Hindi, doon lang sa video.
Sa video po?
Oo.
O, tingnan nyo nga po, ma'am, ngayon kaya meron ng sound. Meron na
Sige,
po,
ulitin
ma'am?
mo.
Meron na
Wala
po,
pa.
ma'am?
Meron na, Mags. Meron na.
Okay. So, ayan po. Thank you. I-back po natin. Nag-forward siya. Wait lang po. So, yung pong kanina, ito po, yung forward. So, ito po yung mga guro under stress, physically and mentally, just to cope up with the new requirements in the education setup.
Mads, wala pa ring sound.
Wala pa po, ma'am. Ganun kaya? Sige. Okay po, ma'am. Sorry. Kailangan bumalik tayo dun sa ano. Ma'am, wala pa rin po.
Hello, ma'am. Wala
Hello,
pa po siya. Ma'am, pwede niyo po siyang stop sharing muna and then pag share niyo po siya ulit and then click niyo po yung box na may nagsasabi na share with audio.
Share screen, tapos
Click niyo po yung nasa side na share with audio and then share po.
yan. Saan po makikita yung share with audio? Participant, chat, share screen. Kanina po ma'am, may audio naman tayo, no?
Oo.
To share screen.
Dito, pindutin. Ayan, share. Share computer sound. Yan.
Yes po.
Okay, sige na po. Yan. Okay, tingnan po natin ma'am kung meron na.
Puno, kanilang
Meron
naging
na po,
tambayan
ma'am?
dahil dito lang daw may maayos na internet signal.
Meron na po.
Okay na, narinig na namin.
Makadalo
Okay.
sa webinar para sa
Okay.
training nila sa ilalim ng blended
So, we
learning
move forward.
ngayong darating na pasukan.
Napanood na po natin.
Ang signal naman doon ay fluctuating, nawawala. Kasi yung ginagamit namin ay cellphone. Pumunta kami doon sa hill. Kumuha kami ng speaker para isa lang ang magamit na cellphone para hindi naman maagawan yung signal.
So ayun po, physically and mentally, teachers are experiencing stress. Not only the teachers but also the students and the
Naantig ang maraming netizens sa larawan ng isang lolang masayang nanonood sa apo niyang excited naman sa kanyang bagong cellphone habang nakaupo sa hagdan ng isang mall. Kinunan ng delivery service rider na si John Miko Tan ang maglola kahapon habang hinihintay ang order ng isang customer sa parehong mall. Naaalala raw niya ang kanyang mga magulang at kinunan ng litrato para i-share sa mga kaibigan.
Yan. So, even the students are really under stress. And not only that, even the owners of
Noong
the
nakaraang
school,
taon,
private
mahigit
and
4 million ang estudyante sa mga private school.
Right now, it is projected that around 2 million students will transfer to public schools. So, ibig sabihin dun nun, kung kalahati ng estudyante yung mawawala dahil sa paglilipat ng mga estudyante, ito ay mangangahulugan din ng pagsasara ng mga eskwelahan. Kaya dahil pag nagsara yung eskwelahan, the lay-off po, retrenchment ng mga private school teachers natin yung kasunod.
Hindi
Yan. So, pati po ang mga teachers mula sa pribadong sektor ay nangangamba na baka wala na rin silang balikang paaralan. At ito nga po ay nangyari na. So, ito po ay stress para sa ating mga...
naman daw masisi ang mga magulang. Noong nakaraang taon, mahigit
Ang mga nagtitiyag ang mga guro, nag-viral sa social media. Tinitiis ang init at ulan para sa 3 araw na webinar. Sari-sariling diskarte para makatugon sa tawag ng tungkulin. Sinamantala ng GMA News ang pagkakataong may signal ang mga guro para makakuha ng cellphone video interview.
Hindi ko kami nagko-complain na wala kaming internet connection or nahihirapan kami. Dahil alam po namin bilang isang guro na ito po ay isa lamang sa mga sakripisyo na dapat namin gawin.
Isa na po yan sa aming mga sinumpaang tungkulin at naniniwala po ako na lahat tayo ay may ginagawang sacrifices, especially during this time of pandemic.
Okay, so lahat po tayo ay nasa puso ang pagtuturo, kaya lahat ng ginagawa natin ito ay for the good of our students. Okay, so ngayon po, lahat po halos ng guro ay nasa matinding stress na medyo chronic na nga po dahil po sa paulit-ulit. Dati po tayo ay lumuwag na sa ECQ, naging MECQ, tapos po ngayon ay talagang bumalik na naman po. At ang mga guro ay lalong na-stress nang nakitang tumaas lalo ang number o bilang ng mga nagkaroon ng COVID-19. So ano po ba yung stress? Katulad po ng sinabi ni Ma'am kanina, meron itong physical and mental manifestations o experiences na nangyayari sa ating mga kaguruan. Akin pong masasabi na ang stress na ito na nadadanasan ng ating mga dalog guro ay masasabi ko na ibilang natin sa dalawang tipo ng personalidad ng guro. Meron po tayong unang tipo, which is the type A personality of teachers. Sila po yung competitive, they are aggressive, they want to learn more, adapt and adjust to the situation now, which is having the pandemic. They are fighting for their rights to become an effective teacher. Kahit po sila ay nakakaranas ng stress. So yun po yung type A personality of teachers. Another one is the type B personality of teachers. Sila po yung non-competitive, they do not care, medyo hindi po sila nag-a-adjust what is happening now. Even though if they are under stress, they are not motivated to adapt themselves to the new trend of learning, which is the online learning. So everybody is under stress. At ano-ano po ba ang mga panlaban ng guro sa mga stress na kanilang nararamdaman? Panoorin po natin ito.
Ang mga litratong ito, ilan lamang sa sandamakmak na kuha ni Teacher Edeline Nicole sa kanyang pinakamamahal na projector. Ginamit niya ang projector sa pagtuturo sa loob ng 5 taon bago niya ito pinakawalan sa isang online barter.
Pinicturean ko po siya ng marami. Sabi ko huling alala. Ganun po yung ginawa, pinicturean ko siya ng marami. Laki. Since nasa public po ako at hindi naman po masyado nagagamit yung projector na dahil may television naman po ang bawat classroom.
Ang hinihingi niyang kapalit, hindi para sa kung anumang panluho o kapritsyo, kundi para sa isang rim ng bond paper at printer ink na ginagamit niya ngayon sa paggawa ng learning modules na pinamamahagi niya sa kanilang komunidad sa Sitio Maligaya 2, San Pedro, Laguna.
Ayan. So, ang ating guro, kaya po ipinagpalit niya po yung kanyang projector sa mga bond paper. Under stress siya kasi kailangan niya ng mga learning materials, printed materials para sa kanyang estudyante. At dahil naisip niya na ang projector ay hindi naman niya na magagamit, much better na ginawa niya, ipinagpalit ito sa rim ng bond paper. So ito po yung isang paraan ng guro para matugunan o mabawasan ang kanyang stress sa kanyang pangangailangan bilang maging isang epektibong guro. Okay, so let us summarize. Ano-ano po ba yung mga stressors? Stressors of teachers during the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, working from home. Siguro po nakaka-relate tayo dito lahat. Kasi po yung working from home ay talagang challenge sa ating lahat na guro at ito ay isa sa stressor. Number 2, techno-stress. Talaga naman pong katulad ko po, ako po ay medyo may edad na at talagang kailangan kong sumabay sa mga millennial teachers at mga kabataan. So I'm trying very hard po talaga to be makasabay and updated with the technology that I can use in my teaching. And then remote learning, ito nga po yung pinapagawa sa atin, which is the online learning, distance learning. And then ito pa rin po, stressor sa atin, yung attitude ng ating mga guro na kung saan tayo sa isang buong faculty, halimbawa, tayo ay nagpupursige na matuto sa new learnings, sa mga new platforms, pero meron pong ibang mga guro na hindi po sumasabay sa atin. So nakaka-stress po siya. And then another one, demands for coping. Isa rin pong stressor kasi marami po tayong obligasyon na dapat gawin dito ngayon sa ating online learning. One by one, let us see. And then resources din po pala yung ating mga kailangan na tools para tayo maging epektibong guro ngayon sa ating online learning. Okay. Ito po ang isang magandang guro. Di po ba pagka po tayo papasok sa face-to-face, ganyan po tayo kaganda. Pero nang nagkaroon po ng coronavirus, which is all over us, ang magandang guro po, ito na ang kanyang mga stressors. Working from home. Yan po. Hindi po natin maikakaila na mas maraming porsyento po ang female na teacher. At usually, sa gender study, it was studied that ang mga kababaihan ay hindi lamang working teacher o working mom, siya din ay tagaluto, tagalaba, tagaplantsa, tagalinis. Marami siyang gawain. That is why, nahihirapan din po siya na magkaroon ng pagtuturo sa kanyang bahay, yung working from home. Kasi po, the teacher is struggling to make a schedule on his plans or in his teaching. Kaya po yung working from home is really a great stressor to the teacher. Unlike po kung face-to-face, pagka po wala na siya sa bahay, nakakalimutan na po niya ang kanyang gawaing bahay and focus na siya sa teaching. So, working from home, I think, is a big stressor on the part of the teachers. Another one, ito pong binanggit ko kanina, yung techno-stress. Bakit po isa ito sa stressor ng mga guro? Okay. Dahil po sa may mga guro po na talaga naman na napapagod na nakaharap sa computer sa buong araw. Ngayon po, feeling niya, ang guro ay isang slave ng computer. Ang manifestation nito, nararamdaman ng guro na parang less effective na siya as a teacher kasi ang kaharap niya lagi ay computer. At nawawala na rin ng suporta sa isa't isa ang relasyon ng guro at ng mga teacher. Kaya medyo low moral ang ating mga guro. And another one is maraming obligated webinars and platforms to learn ang mga guro. Kaya ang mga guro na hindi techie ay nagkakaroon ng techno-stress. Another one, yung remote learning. Ito po ay maituturing na isa rin na stressor sa ating mga guro. Kasi po, yung ating pong remote learning, we need to make use of the internet signal. Minsan po, wala naman po mahina ang internet signal. At minsan po, yung ating laptop, mga PC, ay hindi updated. So, lagi po siyang nawawala sa ere. So, ito pong remote learning, ay talagang nakaka-stress. Besides, yung pa pong mga apps, mga platforms na gagamitin, hindi rin kabisado ng teacher, so nakaka-stress po sa kanya. And feeling rin niya po ay isa siyang service provider 24/7. Kasi po, within the day, dapat kung may tanong ang teacher, ay kung may tanong ang estudyante, may tanong ang magulang, dapat ito ay sagutin niya at once. So, ang remote learning po talaga ay nakaka-stress sa ating mga guro. Another one, yung pong attitudes ng ating kapwa guro. Meron po talaga na maagang nagpapasa ng mga submitted online, na needed submission online, meron naman pong iba na mabagal. Kasi po, unawain rin po natin ang ating kapwa guro na nag-aaral pa rin lang sila. Hindi pa rin nila master ang teknolohiya sa bagong pamamaraan ng pagtuturo, kaya yung kanila pong attitude towards change, merong minsan negative at merong ibang minsan ay positive. So, pero mas marami naman po yung positive attitude towards change, katulad po nung nakita natin kanina sa video. Next, ito po, nakita po natin yung demands for coping. Kahit po nasa gilid po sila ng highway, they want to learn yung mga LMS, yung mga platforms, yung mga ODL, yung mga MOOCs, they enroll in crash course just to become equipped with the new platforms in learning. Para po ito ay magamit nila sa kanilang pagtuturo. Another one is yung resources. Yung pong sa resources, ang mga teacher po ay talagang nag-aaral ng teknolohiya para matugunan ang pangangailangan nila sa pagtuturo. At kanya-kanya na po silang diskarte para matugunan ang kanilang mga pangangailangan. And also, hindi lamang po yung panturo ang kanilang stress. Stress din po sila sa mga financial difficulties sa pamilya. Dahil nga po minsan, ang guro lamang ang may trabaho at ang asawa ay driver ng jeep o driver ng tricycle or factory worker, nawawalan din po sila ng financial para sa pagkain at sa iba pang pangangailangan. So, ang teacher po ay sobrang stress. At ano pa po, ang teacher po ay wala namang pambayad sa internet, so nag-aano lang po sila, naglo-load lang sila ng kanilang internet device, ganyan po. So, talaga pong sila ay nai-stress sa resources available. So, because of that, lack of internet, lack of pambili ng bagong computer, nai-stress po sila at ang manifestation po niyan is inability to access the new technology which is needed for their teaching. Ayan po. So, eto po lahat yung mga tinatawag nating stressors ng mga teacher under the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so, meron naman po tayong tinatawag na ito po yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, the emotional effects on teachers in the new education setup. Ito po yung nararamdaman ng mga guro sa ngayon. Matapos po silang ma-stress, ito po yung naging resulta. Actually, this is the result of a survey in Canada involving 312 teachers, and they found out the following. We have the PANA, which is the positive effects and the negative effects. These are the emotional effects on teachers. Okay. Number 1 is inspired. Yes. Although teachers are stressed with our new situation under the pandemic, there are teachers who are inspired. They want to test their capabilities on the new platforms that they want to apply in their teaching. Sana po lahat po tayo ay ganyan, inspired. But there are also negative effects, which is afraid. There are teachers who are afraid. Katulad ko po dati, natatakot akong pumindot ng computer kasi po baka masira ko or maiba ang lumabas. Ganyan po. So, yung new platforms na gagamitin natin, we are afraid na baka may mapindot tayong isa ay mawala na lahat yung ating pinaghirapan from day 1 of the Google Classroom to the last day of our Google Classroom. Kaya po ako, ang bagal ko nga pong mag-check kasi natatakot ako na baka may mapindot ako at mawala lahat yung aking files. Yan po. Another one, positive effects is alert. Yes, ang mga millennials po ngayon, napakahusay. They are alert. They are very much alert of what is needed and what is to learn and what is to apply. Yan po yung mga millennials. But the negative effects, there are teachers who are upset. Ay, ang galing naman ni ma'am. Alam na niya lahat yung mga platforms na pwedeng gamitin sa pagtuturo. Eh ako, dalawa lang yung alam ko. Ayan. So, sometimes there are teachers who are upset. These are the negative effects. Another one is excited. Yes. They are excited. Gusto nilang matest if the performance of their students will be the same, just like the face-to-face discussion or learning. And if you are excited, what do you think is the negative effects? Nervous. Yan. Minsan po, nervous din tayo. Pinagpapawisan. Di natin alam, baka para tayong step 1. Parang grade 1 ulit tayo kasi we are using the new technology in teaching, that which is a great challenge. So emotionally, we are nervous. Another positive aspect, we are enthusiastic. Ito po, dati po, ang mga guro, ang mga dalog guro ay kanya-kanyang pasok ng kanilang classroom para magturo. Pero ngayon po, nagkakaroon po tayo ng sarili-sarili nating chat room. Tatlo tayo, nasa chat room. We are exchanging our ideas in the new platforms of learning. And so therefore, since we are enthusiastic, we are creating learning community among us. Nagkakaroon po tayo ng mga tawagan, ng mga exchange of ideas for the new tools in learning. And the negative effects. Scared. Nako, nahihiya ako magtanong kay ma'am. Baka sabihin, ay, nako naman, leave behind. Naiiwan ka na ma'am. So parang nakakatakot magtanong. Baka sabihin, nako naman, ang hina naman ni ma'am umintindi. We are scared to ask what is new, what is to be applied. Dapat po, tanggalin po natin itong pagiging scared. Kasi all of us today, we are all learners. We are all in grade 1 in this new pandemic teaching in this pandemic era na to. So wag po tayong matakot. Magtanong po tayo. Hindi po bawal ang magtanong. Para po sa akin, huwag tayong matakot magtanong kasi pag tayo nagtatanong, ito ang ating magiging lakas para tayo'y maging epektibo sa ating pagtuturo. Alisin po natin ang takot. Say yes. Okay. And the last one pa, which is the positive effects, is we are fighting. We are fighting. Pinaglalaban natin na tayo ay talagang totoong guro sa puso, sa wika at sa gawa. We are determined. We are fighting. Itatawid natin ang ating pagtuturo sa mahal nating mga estudyante sa pamamagitan ng ating lakas ng loob. Learn the new technology and fight for the education of our students. And what is the opposite of that, which is the negative effects? Distress. Ano ba yan, mga kadalog guro? Huwag tayong magreklamo. Magtiis, magtiyaga. Huwag tayong, ay nako, webinar dito, webinar doon. Okay lang yon as long as you have time. Magagawa rin natin ang lahat. Magagampanan rin natin ang lahat. Just given the time. Lalo na po kaming mga oldies, medyo mabagal ng matuto sa internet. Let us make use of our sons and daughters, mga pamangkin, mga kaibigan, for us to be taught how to make use of the new technology. Huwag po tayong ma-distress kasi itong emotional effects na to, pag pinapirmi natin sa ating katawan at sa ating isipan, tayo ay magkakasakit. So, let us all move on to this new mode of teaching. Kaya po natin ito. Lampasan po natin.
Dr. Garcia.
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
Fast track mo na. 5 minutes na lang.
Okay. So,
thank you.
So, ito po yung stress management of teachers during the pandemic. Ito po yung aking recommendation. Check your ergo. Ayan po, kung tayo po'y laging nakatayo, gumawa pa tayo ng paraan para naman, laging nakaupo sa harap ng computer, let us stand up once in a while. Medyo lagyan po natin ng box yung ating laptop para po naman nakatayo tayo for 1 hour or more, like that. The screen of your computer, dapat po ito ay malayo sa ating harapan. It should be 25 inches from your face. And then apply po the 20-20 rule. Ano po ba yung 20-20 rule? After 20 minutes, tumanaw po tayo sa isang bagay na kulay berde. 20 feet away from us for 20 minutes at maiiwasan po ang stress ng ating mata. And of course, yung pong ilaw natin, dapat po ay medyo malabo ang computer kesa sa ilaw sa ating kapaligiran. We need to do exercise, gym tayo, pero without na po yung tools in And then another recommendation is team up with the parents. Kailangan po nating makatulong sila para po lalong matuto ang mga bata. And of course, kung may maganda pong nagawa ating estudyante, sabihin po natin ito sa ating mga magulang kasi po sila ay nakatulong para sa ikagaganda ng kanilang pag-aaral. always talk with the parents, alert the parents through messaging. Another one is tap into your happy pace. Dapat po ay lagi tayong maging masaya. Focus on the learning. Huwag na po tayong diretso na agad kung anong pangangailangan ng estudyante, let's give it to them. And then always remember, you are a skilled teacher. Na kahit anong mangyari, teacher ka pa din. And then remember the reason why you become a teacher. Nakikita niyo po yan. The students' live chats, always remember them. You see teachers hugging their students. That is a good thought. And then keep an at a girl folder. Nice notes you receive from your students. Ilagay niyo po siya sa isang folder at paminsan-minsan ay basahin niyo. That was during the times na pagka para bang burnout na kayo, basahin nyo itong mga folder na to, yung mga nice notes, and also the gratitude journal. Pag may mga estudyante kayo na bumati sa inyo at pinahalagaan kayo, write their names, write their comments, and once in a while, you try to read them, and then go. Mawawala na po ang ating stress. And we have here that teacher's loss of success also, our law of responsibility. The law of responsibility states that we need to, sabi nga, for every great power, there is great responsibility, and that is us. Okay. Then the law of direction. Nag-umpisa na po tayo sa ganitong pararaan ng pagtuturo, ituloy na po natin ito. Okay. And then we have the law of decision. Decision na natin na talagang tayo ay guro. Whatever it takes, whatever happens, is still kailangan tayo ng ating estudyante at tayo ay mga guro. Okay? And the fourth one is the law of creativity. Minsan burnout na tayo, so maging creative tayo. I enjoy my Google Classroom because I was able to apply my creativity. Kung ano-ano po yung mga ginawa namin doon, because using the internet is really unlimited. And for the last one is the law of flexibility. Tingnan niyo po yung pusa na yan. Kung ano po ang gusto nating marating, ibig sabihin, let us extend our hands, let us extend our body, and extend our mind to reach what we want to reach, especially in educating our students. And the law of Confucius. This is China, and I wanted to share with you what he said. He said that a true teacher is one who, keeping the past alive, is also able to understand the future. I-keep po natin na talagang tayo ay isang guro sa isip, sa salita at sa gawa. And also, intindihin po rin po natin na tayo bilang guro ngayon sa pandemyang ito ay dinadaanan ng stress, pero atin po itong intindihin, ating itawid ang pagiging isang guro sa ganitong pandemya. That is from Confucius. And of course, the very important one, renew ourselves, our relationship with God. Believe that He will make things better and that Jesus loves us. Thank you, and I hope that I have shared with you something that you will keep on. Thank you, and God bless us. Ayan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Garcia, for your inspiring sharing of teachers' narratives. Though we are really overwhelmed with stressors, with the stress that affect also our mind and soul, but then teachers, as you have presented, are creative, responsible. They don't give up, They don't give up their responsibility. They continue despite the hardships, it brought not only in the workplace, but as well as in the home setting. Yes. What we have learned from Dr. Garcia is that the law to success for a teacher, the law of responsibility, the law of direction, firm in decision, with creativity, and then with flexibility. And then the mantra that she has shared with us from Confucius, the master said, a true teacher is one who, keeping the past alive, is also able to understand the present. Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Thank you.
Well,
now, after we have heard the sharing on the psychosocial situation of learners and parents, as well as the teachers, now we come to the main topic, how to manage stress, anxieties, and depression among teachers, learners, and parents. We will call on Dr. Nenita F. Buwan, a clinical psychologist. Okay, Ma'am Buwan, my dean.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for inviting me to this very important event now that we have this COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to say, acknowledge the President, of course, congratulations for this thing that you have you have done for the teachers, for the students, and the parents. But before I start, let me show you a little or a short video.
The current challenges brought about by COVID-19 for people all around the globe are unparalleled and have caused fear, anxiety, and uncertainty for so many of us. We are all going through this together, and it's important to understand that you're not alone in how you're feeling right now, and that there are practical, healthy ways to cope with these emotions. The COVID-19 pandemic has created unprecedented change and a need for a response from everyone around the globe. Many of us are worried about our loved ones and our livelihoods, and there is no one right way to cope with what we're experiencing. Remember, however you're feeling, there are others that feel the same. You are not alone. Here are a few voices of people struggling to cope during this time.
Some days I'm okay. I'm doing my best to adjust. But yesterday, I couldn't stop crying. This all just seems so unfair, and I feel so angry that this is happening to us. I'm struggling to care for my kids and work from home at the same time, and I'm worried about my parents' health. I watch the news and it just seems so hopeless. I don't know how to keep it together.
I feel so lost and sad. So much has changed. I used to have dinner every week with my family, but now I can't be in the same room with them. I really miss them.
I'm missing out on my prom and my graduation. I've literally been looking forward to these things my whole life, and I'm heartbroken.
With everything going on now, I just can't stop my thoughts. And physically, my chest hurts, and I can't breathe. I get nauseous thinking about what could happen to my family and my friends.
Before this happened, I used to worry all the time about getting sick. Now that worry has turned into absolute terror. My heart races every time I have to go to the store. What if I bring germs home with me? I can't stop washing my hands.
No matter how exhausted I am, my sleep is still terrible. I just keep picturing all the things that could possibly happen. Will I ever get a good night's sleep again?
I've been through so much already. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this too. My flashbacks are getting worse and worse.
Honestly, I feel like I'm more comfortable in times of crisis. I'm not sure why I don't feel as upset as everyone else does right now.
I don't know when or if everything is going to get back to normal. I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. How many people are going to be affected? What does this mean for me and my family?
We've just heard some of the ways people are being affected by the COVID-19.
Okay, those are the things that is happening now in our country. But whatever things that you feel, teachers, parents, and students, it boils down to yourself. Let me start it with yourself. Okay. Okay. The word self means ourselves, that you have to be what? Responsible to ourself. Do you love yourself? Well, first of all, the most important things in our life is ourself at this point in time. I have the next slides, please. Next. You cannot give what you don't have, okay? Meaning to say, whatever things that you want to share, you cannot share it. You want to help, if you don't have the ability to help, you cannot help. So it boils down to yourself again. So we have to do a lot of things in order to help. So you have to be responsible to yourself. Being flexible is one. Being, open-minded, okay? Let us face that this is the reality nowadays. We cannot have the option to choose. We have to face reality. Next. Know thyself. It is important to know ourselves. Within ourselves, what do we want? How can we go on with this kind of problems? That's according to Socrates. Okay. So it was discussed earlier that what is stress, but I would like to have a clearer picture of what is stress. Let us try to find out what is this stress about. It is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It came from an event, though, that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. It is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. In short, burst stress can be positive, such as when it helps you avoid danger or meet a deadline. But when stress lasts for a long time, it may harm your health. Next, please. These are the manifestations of physical signs of stress. You have headache, you have neck and shoulder pain, you have the back pain, you have the heavy chest, you have the stomach pain. All of these pains are all present when you have this stress. Now
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level. Are you sleeping restlessly? But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
Okay, when we are under stress, the brain is badly affected. And so we have to take care of our brain. Okay, the next slide, please. So we go to the next one is anxiety. Okay, what does it mean? Anxiety means a subjective state of apprehension and uneasiness. It can cause a person to feel detached from himself and even fearful of dying or going crazy. We have the shortness of breath, heart palpitation, trembling or shaking, choking, nausea or abdominal stress, numbness, dizziness, or unsteadiness. When we say anxiety, it refers to what? To fears, any apprehensions actually. We have many things that we have many fears actually in our life that we really have to struggle. So that's what you call anxiety. Although we have many types of anxiety. We have the panic attack, we have the phobia, and the generalized anxiety. But we will just discuss and limit our discussion in general anxiety so that you will know more about this. So these are the feelings. If you're suffering from this kind of feelings, you are suffering from anxiety. Next.
There's no way I'm going to pass this exam. I don't even want to show up.
I was so uncomfortable at that party. It was hard for me to breathe and I got all sweaty. I had to leave.
I won't go to sleep or leave the house unless I've made sure the stove is off and the doors are locked. Sometimes I do this 3 or 4 times.
I have to get to the airport 5 hours early. You just never know what might happen.
Okay, anxiety.
These are the voices of people who have experienced anxiety. Anxiety is a common reaction to life events, like taking a final exam or speaking in front of a crowd. But when it becomes really uncomfortable and makes day-to-day life hard to live, then it's a problem, or even what we call a disorder. I know. I've lived with anxiety for a long time. My own anxiety feels like it's about everything. I worry about so many things in so many ways, and it impacts my life big time. I stress about things that are about to happen or might happen, and it means I can't really focus on where I am or who I'm with. Sometimes my heart pounds, I speak really fast, and I kind of snap at people. My family gets really frustrated with me. When it's really bad, I have a knot in my stomach all the time. I can even feel depressed, and then I just want to be alone. I feel like if I do something, I'll screw it up or something will go wrong. So a lot of times, I'd just rather avoid it all. I feel so much better staying home and maybe having a drink. Turns out, anxiety is a very common mental health symptom. It can be the main sign of generalized anxiety disorder, which I have, or social anxiety disorder, which is when people have a fear of being in public or meeting new people. For those of us with social or generalized anxiety disorders, it's really difficult to live the way we want to live. Some people have anxiety about really specific things. They are afraid of heights, snakes, spiders, or something else. These are called phobias, and when people avoid these things, the anxiety mostly stays away. But when people can't avoid their phobias, it is a real problem. Some people experience anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, or obsessive-compulsive disorder, which can make people really overcome with anxiety. In these conditions, anxiety can be so intense that people are at risk for suicide, and they use alcohol or drugs to cope, and sometimes their lives feel like they come to a halt. I'm one of the lucky ones. My doctor told me how to get the treatment that would help me, and it did. I understand now what my anxiety feels like, when it happens, and what I can do about it. I learned some great coping skills, and even just naming it keeps it in perspective. Sometimes my anxiety can still get pretty big, but it doesn't seem to last quite as long as it used to. My anxiety was treatable. For most people, this is true. You can get your life back to where you want it to be. I know. I've got mine back.
Okay, that's anxiety. Okay. So, who among you are suffering from anxiety? I'm pretty sure that students, faculties or teachers, and even parents are suffering from anxiety. We have lots of fears. We have lots of uncertainty in life. Okay, can I have now the next slides?
There's no.
So, we go to depression. Depression is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects you, how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. Causes feelings of sadness or a loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional, physical problems, and can decrease a person's ability to function at work and at home. Can I have the next slide? Many people nowadays, especially the teachers, the students, and all of us actually, are suffering from depression because any loss in our life leads to depression. Loss of jobs is one, loss of property, loss of life, any loss of power. These are the things that we have to consider. The reason why we are suffering now from depression.
Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it's a mental illness, it can be a lot harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time. Getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument, even a rainy day can bring on feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops up out of the blue. Then circumstances change, and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It's a medical disorder, and it won't go away just because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you'd normally enjoy, changes in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurrent thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it's not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, there are changes that could be seen with the naked eye and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, blunted circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the REM and slow wave parts of your sleep cycle, and hormone abnormalities, such as high cortisol and deregulation of thyroid hormones. But neuroscientists still don't have a complete picture of what causes depression. It seems to have to do with a complex interaction between genes and environment, but we don't have a diagnostic tool that can accurately predict where or when it will show up. And because depression symptoms are intangible, it's hard to know who might look fine but is actually struggling. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it takes the average person suffering with a mental illness over 10 years to ask for help.
Okay, that's depression. Meaning to say, you can have depression for quite a long years. This is the study that are being conducted in other countries. You can sometimes detect whether the person really is depressed because of the moods that she is projecting. So let's try to overcome this depression. Let's try to fight stress, anxiety, and depression. And in line with that, I would like to have some things that we have to do in order to overcome the stress, anxiety, and depression. Let me have the break. So what are the things we can do in order for us to overcome stress, anxiety, and depression in times of pandemic, COVID-19, especially nowadays? Let me have first the exercise. The exercise is one of the most important things that we have to do every day. At least I'm happy to see some of my friends who are having the exercise, at least for seniors like us. We have at least 30 minutes every day of exercise. But I would like to focus on types of exercise. When we say exercise, it does not limited to physical exercise. Let's look at the mental exercise, which I am very particular with, which is what you call the mental exercise. Mental exercise or brain training refers to use of cognitive exercises or techniques. It aims to improve specific our memory. Examples of our exercise, mental exercise, reading books, evaluations, puzzles, Sudoku, chess, critical thinking. We can have also anything that has something to do with mental related activities. You know, sometimes we forgot to read. We forgot to analyze, but we have to analyze and understand everything so that the brain will work possibly. Now, what are the benefits of mental exercise? It helps for depression and anxiety, decreases stress, increase self-esteem, we have a better sleep and brain boost. Okay, next slides. How about physical exercise? Physical exercise means it's the perform of activity in order to develop or maintain fitness and overall health. Examples of this: sports, going to the gym, walking and running, martial arts, weightlifting, and other related activities as far as physical exercise is concerned. Okay. What is the effect of physical exercise? One, reduces skeletal muscle tension, insomnia and depression, cholesterol level and obesity, dependence on alcohol and harmful substances, improves and stimulates blood circulation, food digestion, bowel movement, production of endorphins, overall feeling of well-being. So that falls under the exercises. So we don't have to limit our exercise in forms of physical, although it's very important, especially the senior ones, no, the faculty members. I think all of us are already seniors, some of us here. So we have to look into that. Then I'm very particular with the diet and nutrition too. There is what you call nutrition psychology. Now, the diet and that nutrition is very much important as far as your behavior is concerned. Like the doctors of medicine, they always give us pointers or suggestions to have fruits, at least vitamin C, 1,000 milligram 2 times a day, sunshine, the vitamin D. We should go out and have, sunshine. And then we have the vitamin B complex. We have the zinc and the legumes. And let's focus on the substances that can aggravate stress, anxiety, and depression. May I call your attention? You know that we seniors are very much, some of us are coffee drinkers. Let's try to avoid caffeine. What are the food that contains caffeine? We have the coffee, the tea, the Coca-Cola, the soft drinks, and even chocolates actually. So we have to consider all of these things. The best thing is for us to what? To regulate the intake of coffee. If we used to have 3 times cup of coffee a day, probably we might as well have 1 cup of coffee a day only. Okay. Next. Okay. How about stressful eating habits? Well, according to some studies, we have to have some pointers on how to eat properly so that we will avoid stressful eating. And this is what you call stressful eating habits. Number 1, eating too fast. Learn to chew your food properly. Let's not eat too fast. Okay? No chewing of food properly. Not chewing, I mean. So when we don't choose our food properly, it creates what? Anxiety. Because what? There's what you call acidity, hyperacidity. When we have lots of food that were not properly chewed. When we have too much eating. Okay, we have to eat in moderation. Drinking too much with meal. So, wag po tayo iinom habang tayo ay kumakain. No? And then consumption of high sugar food groups. This is it's a no-no for us, especially those who are seniors suffering from diabetes. I'm sure that all of us, some of us, I should say, that there are those who have this diabetes. And when you have your high sugar level, and at the same time you have low sugar level, it affects badly your system, and even your behavior is badly affected. And then we had the food allergies. Let's be aware of what are our allergies. Are you allergic with what? What kind of food that you are allergic with? Are you allergic with sometimes with the milk, or sometimes with other food, some with chicken, okay? Nuts, you have all of these are unaccounted for. Why? Because if you are allergic to some food, you suffered from anxiety, and even you suffered from depression or mood swings. So there's dizziness, irritability, insomnia, headaches, confusion, and disorientation. Okay. So diet and nutrition are important for us to look into. Okay. Here, the other one now, we go to singing. You know, singing is very important for me because I used to sing. I love singing. What are the benefits of singing? It can improve memory, concentration. And then singing collectively, what? Can create open stress, or can remove your anxiety, stress, and depression. Group singing helps to build self-esteem and tolerance to others. Singing is a form of releasing actually what you feel. So let us try to sing. Kahit po kayo ay sintonado, you try to sing because this is a form of catharsis. When you sing, you what? You release, okay, your feelings. At the same time, you enjoy the area of singing. When you enjoy, you release the happiness in your feelings. Next slide. Dancing. Okay, this is also one of my favorite approaches. What are the benefits of dancing? It acts as a great stress booster, especially when motivating yourself to work out or get moving seems difficult. You know, sometimes we don't want to go out for exercise because sometimes it's hard to do exercise. We feel so lazy in exercise, especially physical exercise. And dancing is enjoyable. So you cannot feel, that you are tired if you are dancing because you are enjoying dancing. Seniors nowadays are fan of ballroom dancing. Now, if you will tell me because of the pandemic issues now, you cannot dance, you can dance even at home by listening to what? To music. But let me point out that please try your best to listen to happy music. But if you want a calm and somehow a peaceful mind, you can have also uh, the music that suits your feelings, not too fast, okay? Something that will make you feel comfortable. But dancing is one of the best exercise and one of the best on how to approach your stress, anxiety, and depression. It promotes fluidity and balance. So tayo mga senior, ano yun? Sometimes we get out of balance. Dancing will help us maintain our balance. Next slide. Relaxation. What's the benefit of relaxation? Now, reduces anxiety, insomnia, prevents stress from cumulative, reduces illnesses, improves concentration, increase energy level, confidence, and availability. It's like this. What are some activities that you can be relax? Okay. Well, of course, when we say relax, it is something that's suited to your mind and to your body. Well, I would say that my dogs is a form of relaxation because I used to play with my dogs. Seeing a movie is a form of relaxation. Watching the sunset and sunrise and sunset, I should say, is a form of relaxation. Seeing, green scenery in the field, the trees, the birds, all of these things that are soothing to your eyes are forms of relaxation. Okay? So learn to love the dogs and the cats. Kasi ito po yung talaga makatulong sa inyo. You enjoy with them. Go to under the trees because it suits your feelings. Watch the clouds. How they form. It is a form of relaxation. Next, please. Painting. I know some other people would say, I am not fond of painting. I don't know how to paint. Okay? But painting is a form of projection. Whether you are happy, whether you are lonely. It's like, what they call it, putting all your efforts in painting. Okay. Why? Because there are some benefits in painting that we have to look into, like self-discovery. Creating art can help you acknowledge and recognize feelings that had been lurking in your subconscious. Sasabihin mo, ay, ang galing ko palang mag-drawing. I didn't know that I have this, this ability to have painting. You have the discovery that you are good in painting. And then the self-esteem. The process you will give a feeling of self-accomplishments, which can be very valuable to improve your self-appreciation and confidence. Yeah. It boosts my self-esteem. I'm happy that I can, I can draw, I can tell, and I can project all my feelings. How about emotional release? True enough, the greatest benefit of art therapy is giving a healthy outlet for expressing and letting go all your feelings and fears. If we are sad, if we are angry, if you are mad, when you look at somebody's painting, you could tell that there is something wrong with that person. All types of painting are forms of projection in terms of colors, in terms of theme. So you can tell that this person is happy or lonely, depressed. So the feelings that we have are being projected when we paint in the forms of painting and in the forms of coloring. So, for example, for a child, sometimes they don't know how to draw, but when they have these coloring books, you can use the coloring books. There you can see how they project their feelings in terms of colors. If they are mad, more often than not, they use the red ones. If they are calm, they use the green or the blue ones. So all of these are being projected in painting. Okay. And stress relief. Creating art can be used to relieve stress and relax your mind and body. You know, it's like a catharsis. When you try to release all of your feelings, all of your emotions in terms of painting, these are forms of what? Releasing your pent up emotions. Okay, next slide, please. Now, meditation. I know that others are already doing this meditation. What is meant when you say meditation? Meditation is a practice where an individual uses a technique such as mindfulness, focusing on the mind of a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable states. Okay. Others, examples of this are yoga, self-hypnosis, affirmation. Let me focus on yoga. I know yoga is a form of exercise, but it makes you feel relaxed. But it helps you what? It helps you release all your tensions with your system. Self-hypnosis is a form of like viewing yourself, practicing yourself to see yourself actually. Self-hypnosis is try to program yourself by being a positive thinker. Look at yourself that you are good, you are healthy, you are what? These are the two important things. You have a brighter future in spite of this pandemic problems. And then you can face affirmation. You can face the mirror, talk to the mirror, but never expect the mirror to answer you. What will you do? Just to affirm that you are strong, you are healthy, you can do what you want, and you can fight COVID-19. Next, please. Laughter therapy. Well, I'm pretty sure that each and every one of us is doing this laughter therapy. Look at the picture of the baby. By just merely looking at the picture of the baby, nakakatawa po siya, di po ba? Okay. What are the benefits of laughter? Laughter relaxes the whole body. Okay? Laughter boosts the immune system. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins. Laughter protects the heart. Laughter burns calories. Laughter lightens anger's heavy load. Laughter may even help you to live longer. So let's keep on laughing. There's no reason for us not to laugh because it really helps a lot for us to laugh. I know that each and every one of you is, having a difficulty in laughing. But always think that there is always a light in the tunnel that will make us what? Laugh. Look at how will you make yourself laugh. But probably the best thing is do not watch movies that are so sad. Sometimes I don't want to see sad movies. I always want to see funny movies for me to laugh. And sometimes I don't want to hear news like in Lebanon. I feel so sad about it and so sorry for the people in Lebanon. And I always watch what? Happy things. Things that will make me happy. Things that will make me laugh. But is it a normal feeling for you to laugh in spite of this pandemic situation? Well, I'm pretty sure that whether we like it or not, we have to accept the reality that this is not a normal thing anymore, but we really have to understand that there is what? Hope. We have to laugh. Laugh is what? A therapy. Okay? So my dear colleagues, let us try to laugh. You call your family, your friends. You try to inject what? Jokes. Read books that can make you laugh. Okay? And then call your friends so that you will have some lighter ideas. So that's laughter therapy. Okay? Next slides, please. Okay, how to help somebody beat depression. Okay. This is very common, especially for our students. Okay. Teachers, you have a big responsibility, and parents, to help students how to overcome depression. There are many cases now that suicide, the cause of suicide is depression. So these are the things that we have to do. Ask compassionate questions. What is that? An example of that is, are you okay, my dear? Or can we say, oh, what can I do for you? Something like that. It is something that will make the children and the students to help you. How come that there are many suicide nowadays that they don't feel any compassion with their parents? Teachers are considered parents. So you are responsible for giving or asking compassionate questions. Hindi yung para kang, what are the questions? Ano ba? Gumawa ka na ba ng assignment mo? Something like that. No, that's not a compassionate questions. Pwede naman, oh my dear, were you able to do your assignment? I can help you. Pwede, parang ganon. O nahihirapan ka ba sa assignment mo? It has something to do with the tone of your voice will tell you whether you are angry, mad, or you are compassionate. And then be willing to listen. Listening is the best gesture. These are non-verbal, but you can, when somebody is listening at you, it means I am with you. This is a therapy that would tell me that I feel safe when somebody is listening to me. I feel secure when somebody is listening to me, especially my parents, my teachers, my friends. So listening is one of the best approaches that we have to apply. And then spend time with them. I think pandemic time or this quarantine time is the best time for us to be with our students, with our family, with our companions. By just merely having time with them, being together with them, is a gesture that would tell us that we are happy, because most of the time we parents, teachers, we don't have time in our family. And sometimes it's so irony that the teachers or the parents have more time outside of the family rather than spending time with family. Have quality time. Quality time is not what? Quality time is quantity time. Always bear in your mind. Quality time is quantity time. It's not that you're giving what? A quality time? No, that's not true. What is meant by that? It means that you really have to spend time with them. Okay, every Sunday you have to dine out. You have to have some conversation with your family. You have to go out of town. But at this point in time, we cannot do that. So what is the best time? You eat together as a family. Okay, you ask your children, what can I do for you? Okay, next slide, please. Give positive reinforcement. The best thing that we can do to help somebody overcome depression is a token. When we give something to our students, okay, it doesn't mean you can give a gift. You can give a gift to your children, okay? Or it's in the form of what? Verbal positive reinforcement, like saying, oh, very good. I like what you did, Or because positive reinforcement makes the receiver, pleasant. So it is something that will make the person feel pleasant. And the rule is what? Once there is a positive behavior of your children, of your students, reinforce it at once. Never delay the reinforcement. And then second, we offer assistance, helping each other, feeling of security. When your children, when your students feels that you're giving them a 100% assistance, they feel what's secure. They feel happy about it. Okay. And then make plans together. Okay. In the family or in the context of, in teaching, of course, there are activities that you want to do. So a person feels that he belongs to, an activity, he belongs to planning, makes him what? Happy. So the planning in the family and the planning in teaching with your students is a form of what? Teamwork, is a form of acceptance in the group. So those are the things that we have to do in order to have somebody beat depression. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, self-esteem. What is this self-esteem all about? I think this is very important for us. Okay, self-esteem is a way of thinking, feeling, and acting that implies that you respect, accept, trust, and believe in yourself. Ibig sabihin, in other word, it means believe sa sarili natin, okay? Paniniwala sa sarili natin. Self-respect. If we have this self-respect, we have a high self-esteem because we have two types of self-esteem, the high self-esteem and the low self-esteem. Okay. When we have high self-esteem, we have what? We are energetic, we are happy. We don't have any what you call imagination. We are secured. So maintaining a high self-esteem will boost our personality to be pleasant, to avoid stress. Okay. Now there are some, next slide please. There are some self-nurturing activities on how to build your self-esteem. Like what? Take a warm bath. Have a breakfast in bed. But I'm pretty sure others will not do this unless your parents will tell you, stand up and you have to have your own breakfast. On the contrary, there are those have a breakfast in bed. Take a sauna. Okay. You don't have the sauna, you can have the warm bath. Okay. Get a massage. Okay. We, teachers, sometimes we're so tired the whole day. It's better to have a massage. Or let your partner have a massage with you. Okay. Buy yourself something nice. No? Hindi yun lagi na lang niisip mo, you buy for the children, you buy for the others. But you have to enjoy also what do you want. You have to buy something for yourself. Okay. Then take a bubble bath. Okay. Go for a walk. Okay. Well, I know that because of this quarantine, they say that it's not easy for us to go out, especially the senior ones. But we can go for a walk. Sabi nga nila, even just to walk in your home or in your vicinity, you can have that. And then call a friend. Okay. Isn't it that when you call a friend, you are what? Releasing, you're enjoying the activities that you want to. Sometimes you will be surprised that your children will even tell their problems to their friends. Okay. Same thing with us seniors. Same thing with us faculty or teachers. Same thing with us, parents. We need a friend, because it keeps us, it nurtures us, our feelings. It's like he is your confidante, something like that. And then meditate. When you meditate, this is a form of relaxation, as I have told you. And then go to bed early. They say early to bed makes a man healthy and wise. Okay? Those are the things that you have to do in order to nurture your self-esteem. Next slide, please. Okay, what is important? You have to affirm your self-esteem. It's like this. As I've been telling you, self-esteem is very important. You can talk to yourself quietly, telling yourself that I am lovable and I am capable. I fully accept and believe in myself just the way I am. I accept all the different parts of myself. I am a unique person. When you accept yourself, you respect yourself, and you have a high self-esteem, you are happy, regardless of others, because you are unique. There is no such thing as they are very much similar. People are what? Unique in their own way. Okay. So you have to be firm in affirmation for your self-esteem. Okay. Next slide, please. What are the ways of, acting for any situation, what you need? Okay. Asserting yourself does not mean you what? Violation of laws. Asserting yourself means you express your feelings. Ask for what you want. Say no to something that you do not want to do. Learn to say no. Things that you do not want to do. Why? When you express your feelings, that's one way of asserting your rights. As long as you know your rights, as long as you know your limitations, and you tell that you are happy of what you are doing, as long as you know, you are so mindful of others. Hindi ka nagiging pasaway, hindi ka nagkakadaging problema sa kapwa mo. You just assert, it's a good thing. No? Because if you will just say yes for the things that you do not want to do, I'm telling you, you will not be successful. Because the way to a success thing is you are happy of what you are doing. So learn to say no to something that you do not want. Learn to express your feelings. Don't be afraid. As long as you have the right thing to do, you are not a problem to your family, to your community. That's asserting yourself. Next slide, please. Okay, what are the learnings to be assertive? It involves working in 6 dimensions. 1, developing nonverbal assertive behaviors. When we say nonverbal behaviors, you have to show, for example, to your family that you want to do this without offending them. Okay. Second, recognizing and being willing to exercise your basic rights as human being. As I told you, you have to know your rights as students. Okay, you have to know your rights as what? As teachers, provided you know all the things that you are into. Huwag po tayong lalabag doon sa ating mga rights. Okay? Then, becoming aware of your unique feelings, needs, and worthiness. Okay? So, there are those who does not know what to do. There are those who are tactless. But if we know how to become aware of what we are doing, what our feelings are, what our rights, we are doing the right thing to become assertive. Okay. Practicing assertive responses. First, you have a thorough writing and you have to realize, these are all real in life? Learning to say no again. So for ladies, young ones, it doesn't mean that you rejected your suitors. Does not mean that you are not, that you are being so mean. But what is important is you want to say no. You are just being, just being what you are. You just want to be happy. Okay. Next slides, please. Okay. Self-talk. You know what's a self-talk? Did you ever do this? Ginagawa po ba natin to? Okay. Self-talk is the act of talking to oneself, either aloud or silently, and mentally positive talk. Are you doing this self-talk? Well, I keep on telling my students, you can talk to yourself in front of the mirror, but never expect the mirror to answer you. But this is like also a meditation, no? But it's more on, talking aloud. You have to tell, am I doing the right thing? Do I have do I hurt the feelings of others? Self-talk is like evaluating yourself. Okay? It's like, trying to assess everything. It's like a form of mental exercise. Self-talk is something that will help you thrust out deep inside you, because sometimes there are things that you cannot tell, right? It's only you. And of course, above our Almighty God, it's the one only who you could tell everything. But sometimes even to your family, even to your friends, you cannot tell what do you want in life. But what is the best thing? I am referring to a positive self-talk. Okay. When we speak of a positive self-talk, it means what? It makes you happy. You know, it does not make any what? Stressful events in your life. For example, well, I have this problem, probably I can do this. Do not fight the problem. Solve the problem. I'm telling you, whatever things that you will do for a particular problem is the best result, is the best thing that you can do. I've been telling that. Hindi mo magpapabayaan na yung, pabayaan mo na nga lang yan. No. You have to solve the problem on its level. You have to think what's the best thing that will make you happy, that will make others happy too. Okay, this is one of the problems in self-talk. Negative self-talk. Okay. Negative self-talk is nothing more than an accumulation of self-limiting mental habits. Ito na, baka, di ba, marami tayong apprehension, baka, natatakot ka, something like that. Do not entertain negative self-talk because once you entertain negative self-talk, you are limiting yourself, your mental ability to what? To solve the problems. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Now, ano ba nga ba yung mga klase ng mga types of negative self-talk? These are the problems, the common problems, the personality that we have. The reason why we have this negative self-talk, it's we are this kind of personality, the warrior. Okay. It promotes anxiety. We have, you know, sabi nga ni Albert Einstein, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Okay. Ano ibig sabihin nun? It means that all the imaginations, for example, you have a certain problems, katulad nitong pandemic na to, we keep on what? Thinking that this is bad. We keep on telling that it will not end. Baka, ano mangyayari sa akin? Ano mangyayari sa family ko? Ano mangyayari sa mundo? Or sometimes, they even think that is it the end of the world, my Lord? Something like that. You are injecting anxiety. You are injecting what? You are injecting fears. No? Who will tell me that it's the end of the world? Nobody can tell us. No? So you keep on harboring for the negative talk. You keep on harboring for what do you call that? For negative, no? Future. That is what you call the warrior. You belong to that kind of personality? Do you? And then the critic. Well, the critic, okay, and the perfectionist, these are the people or the personality in us that promotes low self-esteem. Who are this person actually? These are the personalities that were embedded at the back of our mind. Why do we have low self-esteem? It is something to do with the parenting style. The parents who are so perfectionist, the parents who are so, you know, they're the one who criticize us, di ba? Naku, hindi mo kaya yan. Naku, ang daming hindi mo kaya, hindi pwede. We have all the negatives and the limitations that we really have to develop. Okay. Once this personality we are now, we have this low self-esteem. So, ano mangyayari? Hindi ko yata kaya yan eh. No? You have low self-esteem. Naku, kasi sabi ng mother ko, sabi ng father ko, I'm weak. I cannot do that. So, it's already embedded at the back of your mind. So, that's the critic thinking and the perfectionist. How about the victim? So, ito naman, pag you have this personality, the victim, you promote depression. Ano yon? Hindi ko kaya. Marami akong takot. Nakakalungkot naman kasi hindi sila believe sa akin. These are the things that are embedded in your personality if you have this kind of thinking. Okay. All of these things, actually, it boils down to the child in us. Okay, what's the child in us? The child in us is the what? The young attitude. We don't have the what? The matured attitude. We don't have the flexibility of understanding. We don't have the what? The ability to accept things as they are. Okay. So let's not be a warrior. Let's not be the critic. Let's not be the victim and the perfectionist, because those are negative self-talk. Never entertain negative self-talk. Next slide, please. Okay, we have to consider also our feelings. What's the general feelings? Okay, description. It is an emotional state of reaction, a belief, especially vague, of someone. Okay, next slide, please. You know, we have different feelings. I know that our teachers, nakita ko doon sa video, the presentation of our different speakers, the feelings of the students, they were depressed, the feelings of the teachers and the parents. All of these are all accounted for. We have anger, we have sadness, we have fears, but we have love and excitement. Next slide. We have eagerness, we have belief, disappointments, and impatience. Okay, next slide, please. Now, these things are all what has something to do with emotional reasonings. We have to evaluate and learn to be flexible with our feelings. But when we are angry, and we want to cry, you can shout, okay? Probably so that you can release your pent-up emotions. Okay? Anger, loving, well, of course, that's the best feeling. But more often than not, there are those who are suffering, especially nowadays, the fears, the uncertainty, and the loneliness. Okay. Let us try to what? To try to overcome this by doing these things. By what? Releasing our emotions. By shouting, but not shouting to somebody. By shouting, for example, in front of in your own room, you can have that. You can release that. Okay, your feelings of loneliness. What else? You can probably tell your friends that I am lonely. I can all the feelings that you want to burst out, all the feelings na lahat na gusto mong maano. Or sometimes there is one technique that you throw something and then the pillow. Well, I don't like that approach, although others are doing it. Meron nga tayong, di ba, we have the restaurant, you will try to throw, the pinggan to the wall. But I don't like that because that's a form of aggression. So as much as possible, when we say emotional reasoning is trying to evaluate, trying to control, although we have, as I've said, if you feel like crying, you have to cry. Okay? If you feel like shouting, you have to shout in a private place. Okay? Do not suppress, because suppression leads to aggression. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. What are the things that we have to do in order to guidelines to identify or countering self-talk if you have this negative self-talk? First, we have to catch yourself in the act. You have to notice, for example, if you are trying to start, the anger because you're frustrated, learn to what? To dissect yourself. Catch yourself in acting this way. Huwag yung nagagalit ka, dahil nagagalit ka, magtatapon ka, magagalit ka, mananakit ka. So you have to observe your behavior. That's one. Two, stop for a while. If you are at the height of your anger, you have to stop. And then ask yourself the following questions. What am I telling myself that is make me feel this way? That's analysis and evaluation, critical thinking. Do I really want to do this to myself? Do I really want to stay upset? So you have to stop asking those questions to yourself. And then relax. Disrupt your train or negative thoughts by taking, some deep abdominal breath or using some method of distraction. What are these? You have hingang malalim, di ba? You have to do the relaxation technique by hingang malap, deep relaxation, but it's in the form of breathing. Or you have to what? Look for another activity. You have to look for other activities that will, divert your attention when you are angry. Second, write down. Okay, if you have the time to write down the negative self-talk or inner dialogue that feel anxious, upset, or depressed, by writing it down, you can tell to yourself that these are the things that I don't want to entertain. Okay, and then identify the type. Negative self-talk, you engage with, di ba? Yun ang sinabi ko, in different personalities, the warrior, and the loser, the depressed type, all of these things. And then answer or diffuse. Your negative talk will what? With positive, rational, and self-supportive statement. That's what you call rational emotive therapy, okay, in the field of psychology. Meaning to say, you have to use your intelligence in order to what? To rationalize, to understand what are your feelings are, in order to evaluate what are your feelings are. That's what you call rational emotive therapy. Okay? Yung emotions mo ba, yung feelings mo ba, tama? Angkop ba sa situation? You have to ask yourself about that. Next slide, please. Okay.
Dr. Buwan.
Yes.
Dr. Buwan, until how many more slides?
I think this is the last one. Or to last three, I think.
Okay, thank you.
This is very important in our life. The meaning, purpose, and spirituality. Let me ask you, what's your existence in this world and the purpose of your life? If you feel meaningless, you feel what? Sorry about it. If you feel so bored, you don't know your existence, what is your purpose in life, you feel devastated. You feel so sad about it. The best thing in life is you should know what is your purpose in life. Teachers, we have our purpose in life. And our purpose in life is what? Being the next parents to our students, leading our students to the right pathway as far as the career is concerned. Okay? Now, spirituality in our life, I would like to focus in the context of the Filipino values. It is something to do with our belief in our Almighty God. Regardless of your religion, we believe that if we have the spirituality in life, we become what? We have a savior, that's one. We have someone to lean on. Okay? We feel so secured. Okay? And when we pray, this is a form of catharsis, telling the Lord, whoever is your Lord, whoever is the highest power that you are, trying to talk, you feel you are what? Releasing the stress, releasing the anxiety and the depression that you have. Okay. Now, next slide, please. Okay. So if you have the spirituality, you have the security and safety, you have the peace of mind, you have the self-confidence. Next slide, please. Okay. Let me ask you, my dear fellow teachers, parents, and my dear students, let's fight COVID pandemic, okay, COVID-19. Let's have the courage. I know we have to know what is this courage that I am trying to tell you. One is the physical courage. Keep on going with resiliency, balance, and awareness. That's one. Two, spatial courage to be yourself unapologetically. Three, emotional courage. Feeling all your emotions, positive and negative, without any guilt. Next. Intellectual courage. To learn, unlearn, and relearn with an open and flexible mind. And the last one is spiritual courage, living with the purpose and meaning through the heart-centered approach and oneself. So let's have the courage to fight COVID-19. It's not the end of the world, actually. Next slide, please. I have, hindi na. Siguro yung ano na. Because I don't have the time anymore. Okay. How about looking at this? Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Okay? The change is a constant happening in this world, in our life, and you should be ready for a change that will come. Next slide, please. And this is one of the best that I would like to impart you. Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself and flowers with their own fragrance for themselves, leaving others in a natural nature. We are all born to help each other no matter how difficult. Life is good when you are happy, but much better when we are happy because of you. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant day and God bless.
Thank you very much, my Dean, Dr. Luan, for a very comprehensive sharing of how to manage our stress, anxieties, and depression. It really a lot, no, in terms of how we apply it to our everyday life, from the school setting to home setting and to community setting. So we have some questions, but because of time constraints, would you mind if I just read some of the, I think, my short questions about, I see, just a minute. There is a question here from Ms. Villanada. Are Candy Crush and Wordscapes forms of mental exercise? In Candy Crush. Yes, ma'am. No sounds, please. Walang sounds, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that has something to do with your mind, like in Candy Crush, evaluations, critical thinking, these are forms of mental exercise. Okay. Scrabble. As long as your mind or your brain is, is working, it's a form of mental exercise. Okay.
Another question. Ito po, sandali lang po, mama. This is not a question, but I hope all the stressors the teachers encounter must be addressed carefully and taken into consideration by our administration, not only by the teachers themselves. Very timely and meaningful topic. Ayan po yung isang sinabi ng ating kasama. Kay Sir Serapin naman, ito. Dali lang po.
Ma'am, mag-add on
Wala
po ako
Sir
sa
Serapin.
comment. Ma'am, mag-add on po ako dun sa comment with regards to the stressful experiences of the teachers. Na dapat po talaga ang ating mga local government unit, ang national government, tingnan po talaga yung kalagayan ng mga guro. Katulad po ngayon, yung issue po tungkol sa ating internet, dapat po ito ay bigyang pansin sapagkat ito po ay malawakang pangangailangan ng ating edukasyon. So dapat po mabilisan itong bigyan ng aksyon upang magkaroon ng tamang edukasyon ang mga bata mula sa mga guro. At saka dapat po, I think po yung mga dalub guro natin ngayon, they do not belong to the higher o yung tinatawag nating high class family o yung high-end family, no? So dapat po siguro ang mga guro po, even if they have their monthly salary, at ang mga asawa naman po nila, ay wala rin naman po mga permanente at mataas na sweldo, I think they should be given also ayuda. Thinking po na ang guro ay hindi lamang guro. They are also members of the community who work in the community. At kung may problema po ang community, lalo na po sa mga baryo at barangay, ang mga guro po ang hinihinga nila ng tulong. Kaya po siguro, bigyan nito pansin ng ating gobyerno, nabigyan din po ng ayuda ang mga guro na kung saan ang mga asawa o kanilang husband ay walang mga permanenteng trabaho o mga mahihina ang kanilang mga trabaho. Lalo na po kung marami silang mga anak. Siguro po ma'am, isa po yung mga batas na dapat nating ilagay o bigyang pansin.
Okay,
Susunod po natin ito. Salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. May question lang kay Miss Jerly Villanada. As this pandemic continue to spike in alarming level, there is an increasing report on domestic violence. Some of the reasons are the samples given by our speakers in connection with this experience. What do you think the government should do aside from the usual parent webinar to address this effect, especially in the depressed areas where parents are not as open or informed about these changes?
Hello, Sir Rafi. Thank you sa maganda mong katanungan. Syempre hindi lang sa mga pagtuturo sa mga magulang on parenting sagot dito, no? So kaya kailangan palakasin din ng mga barangay natin at the community level yung child protection systems at ipaalam sa mga bata at sa mga magulang saan ba sila magre-report kung sakaling merong mga kaso ng pang-aabuso sa mga bata o sa mga kababaihan, yung sa mga domestic violence na nararanasan ngayon. Ganun din, madami ding mga cases nga ng online sexual exploitation of children kasi nga walang hanap buhay. So may tumataas yung pag-engage ng mga mga pamilyang Pilipino dito sa OSEC na tinatawag. Kaya mahalaga na palakasin yung capacity ng ating mga LGUs ng barangay, paano ba to madidetect, mabigyan ng tamang impormasyon yung mga magulang, paano sila magre-report. At the same time, yung mga kapitbahay din ay magkaroon ng pakialam, no? Kung mayroong mga ganitong naririnig nila dahil dikit ang mga kabahayan sa ating mga urban poor communities. So, kung sila ay may naririnig na domestic violence na nangyayari sa kanilang mga kapitbahay, magkaroon ng pakialam at i-report ito sa sa mga otoridad.
Okay. Marami pa pong questions, kaya lang ipadadala na lang po namin, my dear participants, my dear fellow teachers. We will just send your questions to our speakers through email, and then we will ask them to respond to these questions. Because of time constraints, we need to close the session. But before that, we would like to thank our speakers for this comprehensive and very meaningful thoughts and experiences.
Can I have the last one? Ma'am, yes, Flora, excuse me. Can I have the last, shall I say, statement for us students, for the faculty members, and for the, the parents, to all of us? Let us not rely more on our government. I think it is still our responsibility to be to be strong, to fight this situation. Remember, you are still the important one in fighting for this pandemic situation. Responsibility is one, okay?
Yeah.
Being strong. So it's ourselves also. No? Yeah. So let us not be a problem actually to our government. Let's be a solution, helping the government by helping ourselves. Okay, that's one. Okay, helping ourselves on how to cope up with these problems. Help the government on how to fight these problems. Sabi nga nila, let us try to use our intelligence in helping our problem, because whatever it is still our responsibility ourselves. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Buwan. Before we close the session, we would like to award the certificate of recognition to our three speakers. Teachers Inc. in the Philippines award the certificate of recognition to Ms. Jerly Villanada, registered social worker, in grateful acknowledgement of her distinguished service and insightful contributions as resource speaker during the Thursday webinar series on psychosocial management of stress, anxieties, and depression among learners, teachers, and parents amid COVID pandemic and beyond. Given this 6 August 2020, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Mr. Serapin A. Molina, President Teachers Inc., Ms. May Rendon Cinco, National Coordinator, INET Philippines, and Ms. Flora C. Arellano, President, INET Philippines. Palakpakan po natin. We would like also to award the certificate of recognition to Dr. Magdalena Garcia, Faculty Polytechnic University of the Philippines, in grateful acknowledgement of her distinguished service and insightful contributions as resource speaker during the Thursday webinar series on psychosocial management of stress, anxieties, and depression among learners, teachers, parents amid COVID pandemic and beyond. Given the 6 August 2020, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Mr. Serapin A. Molina, President Teachers Inc., Ms. May Rendon Cinco, National Coordinator, INET Philippines, Ms. Flora C. Arellano, President, INET Philippines. And finally, to our clinical psychologist, Teachers Inc. and INET Philippines award the certificate of recognition to Dr. Nenita F. Buwan, clinical psychologist, in grateful acknowledgement for her distinguished service and insightful contributions as a resource speaker during the Thursday webinar series on psychosocial management of stress, anxieties, and depression among learners, teachers, and parents amid COVID pandemic and beyond. Given the 6 August 2020, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Mr. Serapin A. Molina, President Teachers Inc., Ms. May Rendon Cinco, National Coordinator, INET Philippines, Ms. Flora C. Arellano, President, INET Philippines. Palakpakan po natin silang lahat. Pero bago muna siguro mag-picture taking lang muna. Bago, Ma'am May, pwede pa? Mga ilang seconds lang. Sinong in charge sa atin? Pwedeng paki-show lang yung video natin para sa picture taking.
Ayaw mag-on yung aking camera. Ayaw tanggapin yung
Desa.
Apa, wait lang po.
Paki-open lang po yung video para makita po tayong lahat.
Sarap, nasa mall ka na naman.
Teka, sa problema nga. Marimax, bakit ayaw mag-open yung aking camera pag
Open mo.
Ha?
Open mo dun sa...
Ayaw nga. Sabi, cannot be open, nakalagay. Cannot be open, nakalagay dito. Cannot open the video.
Nasa mall na naman ng Lola, dito lang may Zoom.
Ano pong pangalan, sir?
Sarap, nasa mall ka na naman.
Yes!
Dapat nasa
nasa labas.
Ba't ayaw mag-open yung aking
Dito lang may net eh.
Host daw nag-stop? Bakit yung Mags? Yung host daw nagpa-stop? Ba't ganun?
Ay, sir, sandali lang po. Habang inaayos yung video, paki-open lang yung mga video natin.
Host, stop
Gusto ko lang pong banggitin, yung evaluation form ay nakalagay po sa chat box natin. I-submit nyo na rin po ngayon para sa awarding certificate sa mga participants. Paki-submit lang po. Ganon din sa FB Live, kukunin na lang po namin yung inyong evaluation form. Okay? So,
yung video ko ayaw.
ano po natin,
we'll see.
Desa?
Giselle okay na eh. Yung sa akin
Desa?
ayaw.
Wait lang po.
Oo.
Good
Sorry for
afternoon sa lahat.
the lengthy discussion, but then this is, the discussions are really very helpful to us.
Pre, okay ka na?
Okay na.
Unable pa rin eh.
Ay, Daryl.
Lambert Digia. Unable.
Daryl, okay na?
Hello, Daryl. Daryl.
Ino-open ko, hindi ko lang.
Daryl,
Okay
pwede,
na?
Teka, pare.
masasend mo kaya sa akin yung ano? Nawawala eh.
Yan. Ay,
Yan, okay na.
Yung link ng evaluation. Sorry.
pare ko ba nasa ospital?
Thank you.
So, bahay na ako, bahay.
Pwede ba dito sa chat box?
Kita na si Lambert.
Ma'am Cynthia, mag-open ka na. Baka naka-ano.
Paring Mags ako wala.
Asan ka? O, teka, tingnan ko.
Ayaw.
O, yan. O, wait lang, saglit. Yung pinakamatamis mong okay na. Asan ka?
Hindi ko
Ito
makita.
na. Nakita na.
Ayan,
Ito
o,
na.
yan. Mga magagandang taga-Maragundo. Ayan, si Ma'am Kauli. Sino pa? Ito, tanggalan mo.
Daryl, okay na ba?
Yan lahat tanggalan.
Daryl.
Start.
Daryl. Desa.
Pinipicturean ko na siya, Tita Flora.
Yan.
Siguro, kung inaayos pa natin yung yung mga video natin, baka pwedeng i-close muna ni Miss May. Desa.
Apo, na-picturean ko na po.
Ha?
Okay na po, tapos na po yung picture.
Tapos na yung picture.
Kami nakangiti.
Hindi kayo nag 1, 2, 3.
Hindi nag 1, 2, 3.
Ulit.
Ulit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay na po.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paring Josel,
okay.
Ang ilaw mo.
Ha?
Okay.
Ang ilaw.
Kahit tayo natin maghiwa-hiwalay, we have to do so. For final thoughts, before we end this seminar, may we ask our National Coordinator of INET Philippines, Ms. May R. Cinco, to give the concluding message. Ms. May.
Yes, magandang hapon po sa lahat. Ito po si May Cinco ng INET Philippines. So on behalf of INET Philippines, saka Teachers Inc., led by President Serapin Molino. So nagpapasalamat tayo kay Miss Jerly Villanada, kay Ma'am Magdalena Garcia, at kay Ma'am Nenita Buwan. Okay, sa aking closing, gagawin ko ito with an activity. Madali lang po, nakaupo naman tayong lahat. So just follow me kasi kanina pa tayo. Nakikita niyo yung ating dalawang kamay, di ba? So ipapaganyan lang natin so that meron tayong motion, okay? So please bear with me, please cooperate. So I'm doing my summing up while doing this hand exercise.
Ay, nice one, ma'am.
So, yeah, that's one step. Another one is you just follow me like this. And then the last one is this one and this one, like that. Okay? Okay, so ito na po ang sum up. For, in behalf of INET, nagpapasalamat kami sa inyo at saka yun nga, nagawa natin to. So, just follow me. Maiiwasan ba ang stress?
Opo.
Hindi, ibig sabihin, maaalis ba ang stress?
Yes.
Oo, okay. Oo, maaalis ang stress. Ano lang ang kailangan? harapin ito at tanggapin na meron tayong stress. Okay? So, ulit, maiiwasan ba ang stress?
Yes.
Okay. So, sabi ninyong lahat, tignan ang sarili, mahalin ang sarili, para mahalin din ang ibang tao. No? Para tayo sabay-sabay na mawalan ng stress. Maiiwasan ba ang stress? Ayaw nang sumagot. Oo, di ba? So, ano ang take away ko? Ang gusto ko lang idagdag po dito sa inyo, sa ating discussion. Sa discussion natin, nagke-create ng stress ang mga responsibilidad sa bahay. So, baka magandang isama din sa ating talakayan sa stress management ang pagtalakay ng gender roles. Paano babalansehin ang productive at reproductive roles sa bahay? Kanina kasi sabi mas maraming stress na babae dahil sa kanyang mga responsibilidad bilang guro at bilang nanay or management ng bahay. So malamang maganda i-advocate din natin paano magiging aware ang ating mga kasambahay sa bahay, mga kasama lalaki, babae, batang lalaki, batang babae, ng kanilang mga gender roles. Reproductive at productive. Pag reproductive yon, yung lahat ng gawain sa bahay. Productive, yun yung mga gawain na kumikita tayo or hanap buhay natin. So isa yon. Tapos malaki din yung bagay, tinanong nga paano daw maiiwasan yung yung mga nangyayari ngayong pananakit sa loob ng bahay. Ang Save the Children at in the Philippines, matindi po ang aming advocacy doon sa isang aral o pag-aaral at napatunayan na rin po ito, positive discipline in everyday teaching. Kung merong positive discipline in everyday teaching, dahil ngayon home-based ang ating pag-aaral, meron din pong positive discipline in everyday parenting. So siguro maganda ding maisama yon sa ating mga stress management input. So what is my takeaway for today webinar? 3 C's, tatlong C. One of the C is on communication. No? Meron kasi yung communication, may nagtanong kanina sa chat group, ang chatting ba stress reliever? Of course. Depende yan sa kung ano yung pag-uusapan nyo, yung makakaalis ng stress. Kasi buti tayo, mga teachers, meron tayong means. No? Yung katulad ng diniscuss ni Ma'am Nenita. Pero yung mga parents, kasama kasi yan sa magiging tagumpay ng ating ng itong klase ng blended learning. Paano naman yung stress reliever nila? No? Nawala silang pera for massage and everything. Ang kwentuhan, malaking bagay sa psikolohiyang Pilipino, ang kwentuhan bilang stress reliever. Hindi ko po yan tinitignan na chismis. Medyo may advocacy ako dyan. Ayokong tignan yan as chismis. Pero kung kwentuhan na nakakatulong sa buhay, yun po, stress reliever. So, the sense of communication, mahilig tayong mga Pinoy mag-communicate, magkwentuhan. At yung kwentuhan na yan ay malaking bagay para mawala ang ating stress. Creativity, nabanggit nyo ng lahat, marami nag-input. Naging creative tayo lahat dito sa pandemyang ito. Nag-pop up tayo. Sino ba nagsabing magtanim tayo, mag-bake tayo, mag-online selling tayo? Yan ay tinakdalang ng pag-pop up natin sa panahon. So yun po, yung isa. At yung core values. The third C is the core values. Bumabalik. Ang hamon ng panahon, ang hamon ng pandemya, babalik, ano ba ang core values ko bilang ako, bilang tao. No, so yun, nakita natin yung pakikipagkapwa ay napakalaking bagay kahit may pandemya pa. Ang celebration natin ng birthday kahit hindi face-to-face, mas madaming umattend sa birthday natin kasi nagagawa natin online. May birthday celebration, 100 ang participants kasi online. So, nakaligtas tayo, lumaya tayo sa traffic na ating problema noon. Malaking tawag dito, lagi tayong umaangal sa traffic. Nagkaroon tayo ng oras sa ating mga anak na demand ng ating mga anak na yan. So yun din, yun yung maraming core values, creativity at communication na pwede nating gawin dahil sa pandemyang ito. So sabi nga kanina ni Ma'am, may negative at may positive. Tapos tayo ang magdidesisyon, tayo ang kokontrol paano natin to haharapin. Dahil sarili lang naman natin ang ating makokontrol. At in the end, para talaga matugunan din ito, gusto ko lang sagutin din yung point, yung hamon ni Ma'am Nenita. Totoo yun, maging responsable tayong mamamayan. Pero sabi ko nga, it's a synergy of responsibilities of the citizens and also the government because they are mandated to represent us. We elect them to represent us. So it is our responsibility as citizen and also the responsibility of the government. So synergy yan ng responsibilidad para lahat tayo ay umunlad at makaligtas at makasurvive at mawala ang stress sa pandemya to. So maraming salamat po sa lahat at sa matagumpay na webinar na to. At lalong-lalo na po sa ating mga speakers na talagang naglaan ng panahon na para ibahagi ang kanilang expertise. At syempre, sa lahat ng participants. Kung may speaker at walang participants, di walang essence ang aming mga speakers. So salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you, May. Muli, isang pasasalamat sa lahat ng mga participants natin na nanggaling pa sa Cavite. Palakpakan natin mga taga Cavite, galing sa Bulacan, galing sa Nueva Ecija, galing sa Pangasinan, galing sa Laguna at sa NCR. Ayan po. Yung mga kakosta kong guro na taga-Pilipinas na naririyan pala, magandang hapon po sa inyo. At sa lahat ng viewers natin na hindi na nakapasok sa Zoom, na nasa Inet Facebook Live, maraming salamat po. Especially those who sent questions for joining this timely and relevant discussion. For those who would like to view again this webinar, a recording will be available shortly on Inet Facebook page. Just tune in to this page also for announcements on future webinars. Actually, meron po tayo sa August 13 dahil sa pangangailangan ng resource mobilization para sa learning continuity para sa ating mga marginalized, excluded, and vulnerable sectors, yung mga learners natin. Meron po tayong discussion sa August 13 on the utilization of the Special Education Fund. Inaanyayahan po namin kayo muli na dumalo at marami po tayong matututunan dito. At isang paabot lang po, kindly respond to our evaluation form and complete your full name for your certificate of appreciation. Pakisubmit na lang po. And finally, to the staff members behind the scenes, pakita naman kayo si Daryl, si Michelle, at syempre si Dessa in providing us with all the technical support in this webinar series. Again, thank you very much and good day. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Palakpakan! Kaya na kami. Ika muna.